My name is Marlo Sutherland, and what I'm about to tell you happened 6 months ago in the Harrington Arms building in downtown Seattle. Every time I close my eyes, I still see it. That reflection that wasn't mine. That hand pressed against the glass. Those eyes watching me from the other side. My therapist says that sharing helps, that getting the poison out of the wound is the first step to healing. So here I am, telling what happened. Even though every word makes me feel like I'm back in that apartment, feeling his gaze on my skin. The Harrington Arms was perfect on paper. A 1928 Art Deco building, recently renovated, with surprisingly cheap rents for being in the heart of downtown. One-bedroom apartments with high ceilings, huge windows, and that vintage charm you only find in older buildings. The real estate agent, a man named Quillen Murphy, showed me apartment 4B on a rainy Tuesday in March. It's a hidden gem, he told me as he opened the heavy door. Original hardwood floors, plaster moldings, and look at that bathroom. Completely restored period tile. The bathroom was indeed impressive. White octagonal tiles on the floor, subway tiles on the walls, a clawfoot tub, and a large mirror above the sink with a dark wood frame that looked as old as the building itself. Why is it so cheap, I asked, because something in my mind told me there had to be a catch. The building was closed for years before the renovation, Quillen explained. The current owner is trying to fill the units quickly. Trust me, it won't last at this price. I signed the lease 2 days later. I was starting a new job as an editor at a small publishing house, and I needed to move quickly. The apartment was only a 15-minute walk from the office. It was perfect. I should have known that nothing that seems perfect really is. I moved in on a Saturday in mid-March. My friend Sparrow came over to help me with the boxes. I only had the basics: a bed, a second-hand sofa, my desk, boxes of books and clothes. The apartment looked empty but full of possibilities. "It's charming," Sparrow said, looking around. "A little creepy with these high ceilings, but charming." Creepy. You know, these old buildings, they have that energy. Like the walls remember things. I laughed, but that night, after Sparrow left, I was alone in the apartment and I understood what she meant. The building made noises, lots of noises. The old plumbing groaned and gurgled. The radiators hissed. The floor creaked even when I wasn't moving. Just normal noises in an old building, I told myself. There was nothing to worry about. The first time I noticed something strange about the mirror was on the second night. I was getting ready to take a shower before bed, standing in front of the sink, brushing my teeth. I looked at my reflection in the mirror, and for a second, just a second, I saw something that made my brain freeze. A shadow behind me. A dark shape that shouldn't have been there because I was alone in the bathroom. I turned around quickly, my heart racing. There was nothing there. Of course there was nothing there. The bathroom was empty except for me. I looked at the mirror again. Just my reflection. Pale, wide-eyed, but just me. "You're tired," I said aloud. "You're just tired from the move." But when I got in the shower, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. I kept my eyes on the shower curtain, waiting for it to move, waiting to see a shadow on the other side. Nothing happened. I showered quickly anyway, and ran out to the bedroom with a towel wrapped around me. The first note appeared on Monday morning. I was leaving for my second day of work when I saw it stuck to my door. A folded piece of paper, wedged between the door and the frame. I pulled it out, confused. Maybe it was a welcome note from the building, or information about trash day. I opened it while waiting for the elevator. The handwriting was rough, written in pencil on cheap paper. "You leave at 7:45 a.m., black coffee, 2 sugars. You walk fast." My heart skipped a beat. What was this? I looked around the hallway. Empty. Silent. The other 4 doors on my floor were closed. There was no sound. Had someone been watching me? Did someone know my morning routine after only 2 days? The elevator arrived with a ding. I stepped in, still staring at the note. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe one of the other tenants was trying to be funny. It wasn't funny. It was disturbing. At work, I tried to focus on the manuscripts I needed to review, but the note was still on my mind. You leave at 7:45 a.m. So specific. Black coffee, 2 sugars. How did they know that? I'd gone to the coffee shop on the corner exactly twice. Had someone been following me? Are you okay? My boss, Ondine Brewer, asked me mid-afternoon. You seem distracted. I'm fine, I lied. Just adjusting to the move. That night, when I arrived at the building, I checked every shadow, every corner of the lobby before going up. In the elevator, I examined my reflection in the metal mirror on the doors. Just me, no one else. But when the doors opened on the 4th floor, I saw something that made my knees almost give way. Photos. Taped to the walls of the hallway with adhesive tape. 3 black and white photos. Of me. I approached with trembling legs. The first photo showed me entering the building. The second, walking down the street. The third showed me sleeping. In my bed. In my new apartment. The photo was taken from above, from an angle that suggested someone had been standing next to my bed while I slept, completely unaware. The scream came out of my throat before I could stop it. A sharp, terrified sound that bounced off the walls of the empty hallway. I tore the photos off the wall with trembling hands and ran to my apartment. I put the key in the lock, but my hands were shaking so much that I dropped it. I picked it up, put it back in, turned it, pushed the door open, went in, slammed it shut, and locked it. I stood with my back against the door, breathing in short, quick gasps, staring at the photos in my hand. Someone had been in my apartment. Someone had photographed me while I slept. When? Last night. The first night. I checked the entire apartment. I looked under the bed, in the closet, behind the shower curtain. The windows were all locked. The door had been closed. How had they gotten in? I called the police. 2 officers arrived 40 minutes later. I showed them the photos, the note. I explained everything. Do you live alone? Asked one of them, an older man named Officer Branson. Yes. Ex-boyfriend. Anyone from your past who might be doing this? No. I broke up with my last boyfriend over a year ago, and we parted on good terms. This isn't him. Any new coworkers? Anyone who has shown unusual interest in you? I just started a new job, but no one has been acting strange. They took the photos as evidence. They took the note. They checked the apartment for signs of forced entry. They found nothing. We're going to increase patrols in this area, Branson said. In the meantime, consider installing additional locks, and if anything else happens, call us immediately. After they left, I sat on the sofa in the empty living room, watching the shadows cast by the streetlights through the windows. I didn't feel safe. This apartment that I had thought was perfect now felt like a trap. That night, I slept with a chair against the bedroom door. I didn't really sleep. I lay in the dark, listening to every noise in the building, waiting to hear footsteps, to hear my door opening, to hear breathing. At 3 a.m, I woke with a start from a light sleep. I had smelled something. Something that shouldn't be there. Cologne. Cheap cologne. Strong and cloying, as if someone had bathed in it. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding wildly. The smell was everywhere, in the air, on my pillow. Someone had been here. Someone had been in my bedroom while I slept. Again. I turned on all the lights. I checked the entire apartment again. Nothing. The doors were locked. The windows were closed, but the smell remained. That sweet, sickening smell that made me want to vomit. I didn't go back to bed. I sat on the sofa with all the lights on until dawn. The next day, I called a locksmith. He installed additional security locks on the front door. He installed bolts on the windows. It cost me money I didn't have, but I didn't care. I needed to feel safe. That night, with the new locks in place, I felt a little better. Maybe now, with proper security, I could sleep. But before going to bed, I went to the bathroom to wash my face. I stood in front of the mirror, turning on the water in the sink. I looked at my reflection. I looked terrible. Deep dark circles, pale skin, frightened eyes. And then I saw it. In the mirror, behind my reflection, there was a hand pressed against the glass from the other side, flat, fingers spread, as if someone were trying to push through the glass. But when I turned around, there was no one behind me. The bathroom was empty. I looked at the mirror again. The hand was still there, pressed against the glass, on the other side of the mirror. My mind screamed that this was impossible. Mirrors don't work like that. There can't be anything on the other side of a mirror. It's just a reflection. It's just glass and mercury. But the hand was there. I could see it clearly. Long fingers, dirty nails, pale skin. I reached out with my own trembling hand and touched the mirror where the other hand was. The glass was cold, solid, but there was also something else, a vibration, as if something on the other side was pressing, trying to get through. I backed away so quickly that I tripped over the edge of the bathtub. I grabbed the sink to keep from falling. When I looked at the mirror again, the hand was gone, but I knew what I had seen. Someone had been on the other side of that mirror. Somehow, some impossible way. I left the bathroom and closed the door. I stood in the bedroom, staring at the closed bathroom door, trying to understand. Mirrors don't have another side. There is no space behind a mirror mounted on a wall. There's only wall, structure, nothing else, unless it wasn't a mirror. The idea hit me like a bolt of lightning. What if it wasn't a mirror at all? What if it was glass? Glass with something behind it, a space, a room. But that was crazy. Why would anyone build a window that looked like a mirror in a bathroom, unless they wanted to watch? I felt sick, physically sick. I ran to the bathroom and threw up in the toilet, my body convulsing as I emptied my stomach. When I was done, I sat on the tiled floor shaking. If that wasn't a mirror, if it was a window, that meant someone had been watching me every time I used the bathroom. Every time I showered. Every time I changed clothes in front of the sink. For days, I felt like I was falling apart. I took out my phone with trembling hands and called the police again. I explained about the hand in the mirror. I could hear the skepticism in the operator's voice. You saw a hand inside the mirror. Not inside, on the other side, as if there were a space behind the mirror. Ma'am, have you been drinking? No, I'm sober. I'm terrified. Please send someone. They sent the same Officer Branson. He came with a partner this time, a young woman named Officer Ray. I showed them the bathroom, the mirror. It doesn't look unusual, Branson said, touching the frame. It's an old mirror mounted on the wall. Can you check it? Can you see if there's a space behind it? Branson took out a flashlight and tapped the wall around the mirror. It sounded solid. There are no cavities here, Miss Sutherland. It's solid plaster. But I saw a hand. It was there. Stress can make us see things, Ray said kindly. You've been under a lot of pressure with the harassment. It's understandable that your mind is playing tricks on you. I'm not crazy. No one's saying you are. Just that maybe you need some rest. Do you have family or friends you can stay with for a few days? I didn't argue anymore. I knew how it sounded. I knew they thought I was paranoid, maybe on the verge of a breakdown. Maybe they were right. Maybe all this was driving me crazy. After they left, I called Sparrow. I told her everything. She came to stay with me that night, bringing wine and takeout. This place is driving you crazy, she said, looking around the apartment. You should break the lease and move out. I can't. I don't have money for another deposit, and I can't let him win. Whoever is doing this, I'm not going to let him drive me out of my own home. Marlo, your safety is more important than pride. But it wasn't just pride. It was anger. I was furious that someone could make me feel this way in my own space. Furious that I had to live in fear. Sparrow stayed for 3 nights. They were the only nights I actually slept. But she had her own life, her own apartment across town. She couldn't stay forever. The morning after Sparrow left, I found my phone ringing with an unknown number. I didn't recognize it. I usually didn't answer unknown numbers, but something made me answer. Hello? Silence. But not empty silence. I could hear breathing, heavy, deliberate. Who is this? I demanded. Marlowe. My name spoken in a voice I didn't recognize. Masculine. Rough. You ran pretty fast yesterday. My blood ran cold. What? Yesterday. When you saw the photos. You ran to your apartment so fast I thought you were going to trip. Who are you? Someone who knows you very well. Better than anyone knows you. I've seen you in your most private moments. I've seen you when you think you're alone. I hung up. My hands were shaking so violently that I almost dropped the phone. How did he have my number? I had changed my number just 3 months ago when I switched phone companies. Only a few people had it. How did he get it? The phone rang again. Same number. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. With trembling hands, I played the message. Don't hang up, Marlowe. That's rude. We were having such a nice conversation. Check your email. I sent you something special. I opened my laptop with a feeling of terror growing in my stomach. I had a new email. No sender name, just an email address of random numbers. The subject line read, "For Marlowe." I opened the email. There was an attachment, a video. I didn't want to open it. Everything in me screamed not to open it. But I needed to know. I needed to see. I clicked on the file. The video began to play. It was black and white security footage with the date and time in the corner. The date was yesterday. The time was 3:47 p.m. The video showed me in the hallway on the 4th floor of the Harrington Arms. Looking at the photos on the wall, my face contorted in terror. I saw myself scream. I saw myself rip the photos down, run to my door, drop my keys, go inside, slam the door shut, all from an angle that could only have been filmed from inside the hallway, from close up, maybe only 10 feet away. He had been there, watching me, filming me. While I found his photos, while I panicked, he had been there, close enough to touch me. The video continued. My apartment door was closed, but the camera didn't move. It kept filming, waiting, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. And then, in the video, my door opened. I came out, cautiously looking down the hallway. The video showed me walking to the elevator, pressing the button, stepping in when the doors opened. But I hadn't left my apartment yesterday after finding the photos. I had stayed inside the rest of the night waiting for the police. Or had I left? My memory was hazy. Panic had turned everything into a jumble. Maybe I had left. Maybe I went to look for the doorman. Maybe. The video switched to a different shot. Interior. My apartment. My living room. I stared at the screen, unable to breathe. The camera moved slowly through my living room. It showed my sofa, my desk, the boxes still unpacked in the corner. It moved toward the bedroom. The door was ajar. The camera pushed the door open, revealing my bed, my clothes thrown on a chair. And then it moved toward the bathroom. The bathroom door was also ajar. The camera zoomed in. The angle changed, showing the mirror. The damn mirror. But not from the front, from behind. The video showed me the back of the mirror. And it wasn't a solid mirror mounted on a solid wall. It was a frame with glass. And behind the glass there was space. A narrow space, like a passageway. A crawl space between apartments. The camera moved closer to the glass. From this side, I could see through it. I could see my bathroom. Empty now, but completely visible. It wasn't a mirror. It was a window, a one-way window, allowing him to see into my bathroom while I thought I was looking at my own reflection. The video ended. I sat in complete silence, processing what I had just seen. All this time I had lived here, showering, changing, getting dressed, standing in front of that mirror. He had been on the other side, watching, recording, taking pictures while I slept because he had access. Access through the walls, through the spaces between apartments in this old building. And no one had believed me. The police had knocked on the wall and said it was solid, but they hadn't knocked in the right place. They hadn't found the access point. I jumped up and ran to the bathroom. I looked at the mirror. Now that I knew, now that I was really looking, I could see imperfections. Small scratches on the glass that didn't seem normal for a mirror. A slight gap between the frame and the wall that shouldn't have been there. I grabbed the frame with both hands and pulled. It didn't budge. It was mounted firmly. I searched the cabinet under the sink and found an old screwdriver left over from previous plumbing jobs. With trembling hands, I began to remove the screws that held the frame to the wall. There were 8 of them. My hands were slipping, sweat making it difficult to maintain my grip on the screwdriver. Finally, the last screw came out. The frame loosened. I grabbed it and ripped it off the wall. Behind it was exactly what the video had shown. A gap. A narrow passage dug through the wall, wide enough for a person to crawl through. And at the end of the passage, darkness. I screamed. I couldn't help it. A scream that came from deep within me. All the terror, all the violation, all the rage exploding in that one sound. I grabbed my phone and called 911 again. "There's someone in my walls," I yelled at the operator. "There's a passage behind my bathroom. They've been living in the walls. Please send someone now." This time they believed me. Or at least, the panic in my voice convinced them that I needed help immediately. The police arrived in 5 minutes. Branson again, this time with 4 more officers. I showed them the passageway. I showed them the video on my laptop. "Holy God," one of them muttered. Branson took out his flashlight and shone it into the passageway. "There's something back there. It looks like someone's been living in here." They called for backup. More officers, dogs, a SWAT team. They evacuated the building. They took me out and put me in an ambulance outside while the team went in. 2 hours later, Branson came to talk to me. His face was pale. We found a space between the apartments, a crawl space that runs the length of the 4th floor. Someone has been using it. There's equipment in there, cameras, a mattress, food, photos, hundreds of photos. "Did you catch him?" Branson's jaw tightened. He wasn't there when we went in, but we found ID. A previous tenant, a man named Caspian Vreeland. He lived in 4C 3 years ago. Apparently, he never really left. He's been living in the walls for 3 years. It looks that way. The building was closed for 2 years for renovations. He must have hidden during that time, creating these passages, installing one-way windows in the bathrooms of several apartments. When the building reopened, he had access to every unit on the 4th floor. I felt dizzy. Other apartments too. We're checking now, but it seems you were his main focus in recent months. Why me? Branson hesitated. We found a journal. He wrote about you, about how you were perfect, about how he had been waiting for someone like you. It's disturbing, Miss Sutherland. Very disturbing. They issued an arrest warrant for Caspian Vreeland. His photo was on the news that night. An ordinary-looking man in his 30s, with dark hair and empty eyes. He could have been anyone. A neighbor, a stranger on the street, no one who would make you look twice. But he had dug holes in the walls and watched me for weeks. He had documented every moment of my life. He had been so close, he could have touched me at any moment. I didn't go back to the apartment. I broke the lease. Quillen Murphy seemed genuinely horrified when he found out, returning my full deposit without argument. I stayed with Sparrow while I looked for a new place. It took them 3 days to find Caspian. They caught him trying to break into another old building on Capitol Hill. Apparently, he was looking for a new place to set up his surveillance system. He was arrested and charged with multiple crimes: trespassing, harassment, invasion of privacy, and installation of illegal surveillance equipment. The charges kept piling up as the police reviewed all the evidence he had collected. I was called to testify at the preliminary hearing. I had to sit in the same room as him, watching him stare at me with those empty eyes, as if he still had some right to observe me. His lawyer tried to argue that he had mental health issues, that he wasn't responsible for his actions, but the evidence was overwhelming. The diary detailed not only his obsession with me, but with at least 6 previous women who had lived in the building before the renovations. One of those women, a woman named Embry Calloway, came to court. She was now 40 years old but looked haunted. She testified about how she had lived in 4B 8 years ago, about how she had always felt that someone was watching her, about how she had had a nervous breakdown and had to move out, about how no one had believed her. "I thought I was going crazy," she said, tears streaming down her face. "For years I thought it was all in my imagination, but he was there. All the time. Watching." Caspian Vreeland was found guilty on all counts. He got 22 years. The judge said his behavior showed a dangerous pattern of predation that required the maximum punishment. 22 years. It should have made me feel better. It should have brought closure. But every night, when I close my eyes, I still see him. That hand pressed against the glass. Those eyes on the other side, watching my every move. I moved into a new apartment in a modern building that was only 5 years old. Concrete and steel. No hidden spaces, no secret passages. I covered all the mirrors with towels. I can't look at them without feeling panic. My therapist says this is PTSD, that with time and treatment, I'll get better. But it's been 6 months, and I still can't shower without feeling like someone is watching me. I still check behind every mirror, looking for spaces, looking for eyes in the dark, because now I know the truth. Mirrors lie. They show you only what they want you to see. Your own reflection, safe and harmless. But behind the glass, in the darkness, anything could be waiting. Anyone could be watching. And once you know that, once you understand that your most private moments may not be private at all, you never feel truly safe again. Last night I received a letter, sent from the state prison. The handwriting on the envelope was the same rough handwriting as the original notes. I didn't open it. I took it straight to the police. Branson told me that Vreeland isn't allowed to contact me, that it would violate the terms of his sentence. But the letter exists. And I know, without opening it, what it probably says. That he still thinks about me. That he still watches me in his mind. That in 22 years, when he gets out, he'll come looking for me again. 22 years. I'll be 50. He'll be in his 60s. A whole life still ahead of him. And something tells me he won't have forgotten. Men like him don't forget their obsessions. So I wait. I live my life as best I can. I go to therapy. I take medication. I keep all the curtains closed. I check every mirror. And I try not to think about that dark passage behind the bathroom, that window disguised as a mirror, those eyes watching me in my most vulnerable moments. But every night, just before I fall asleep, I smell something, barely perceptible, so faint that it could be my imagination, the sweet, cloying smell of cheap cologne. My name is Evelyn Nash, and what I'm about to tell you happened 4 months ago. Although it feels like it was yesterday, I still can't look at my phone without feeling that knot in my stomach, that feeling that someone is watching through the screen, observing every movement of my fingers. My friends tell me I should get over it, that it's all over now, but they don't know what it's like to feel that your own technology has turned against you, that the devices that are supposed to make your life easier have become windows for a stranger to enter every aspect of your existence. It all started with LoveSync, that damn dating app that I swore I would delete after what happened with my ex, Theron. We had broken up 6 months ago, an ugly breakup that ended with him yelling horrible things at me in the middle of a restaurant. After that, I promised myself I would take a break from dating, that I would focus on myself, on my career as a freelance graphic designer, on my friends. But loneliness is a strange thing. It eats you up from the inside. And after 6 months of nights spent watching Netflix alone in my apartment in Portland, Oregon, I thought maybe I was ready to try again. So one night in July, after 2 glasses of wine and a nudge from my best friend Poet, I downloaded LoveSync again. "Just look," Poet told me over video chat, her face pixelated on my laptop screen. You don't have to meet anyone, just see who's out there. So I looked. I swiped left on dozens of profiles. Men with photos of themselves fishing, at the gym, with tigers in Thailand, holding dead fish. It was depressing. But then after 20 minutes of half-hearted swiping, I came across a profile that made me pause. His name was Alaric, 32 years old, software engineer. His main photo was simple. Him in a coffee shop, reading a book, natural light illuminating his profile. Carefully combed dark hair, trimmed beard, black-rimmed glasses. He looked normal, intelligent. Not like the others who screamed, "Look how alpha I am" with every photo. His bio read, "I love strong coffee, old books, and real conversations. I seek genuine connection in a digital world." He sounded like what I was looking for, so I swiped right. It was an instant match. A message appeared seconds later. "Hi, Evelette. I love your name. Is it from the movie?" It was. My parents had been fans of 10,000 BC. I replied, "Yes," and so our conversation began. We talked for 2 hours that night. About books, about work, about our families. He was easy to talk to. His responses were thoughtful, intelligent, asking questions about me that showed he was really listening. We talked for 3 days straight, long conversations that lasted until the early hours of the morning. He told me about his job at a tech startup, about how he loved coffee so much that he had learned to be a barista in his spare time. I told him about my design work, about my dream of one day opening my own studio, but then something changed. His messages started to become more intense, more frequent. He would send 10 messages in a row if I didn't respond within an hour. He started asking more personal questions. Where exactly I lived, where I worked, which coffee shops I went to. On the 4th day, he sent me a message that gave me a bad feeling. "We should meet up soon. I feel like I already know you so well. I feel like we're meant to be." Meant to be. After 3 days of texting, it was too much, too fast, too intense. I replied that I wasn't ready to meet in person yet, that I wanted to take things slowly. His response was immediate and cold. "Then why are you wasting my time?" And there it was, the red flag I had been ignoring. I told him I thought it was best if we stopped talking, that I didn't feel the connection he felt. His response was a long paragraph about how I was just like all the other women on these apps, how I played with people's feelings, how he had invested time and emotional energy in me. I blocked him. I deleted the conversation, and I made the decision to delete the app altogether. It wasn't worth the drama. That should have been the last time I heard from Alaric. It should have ended there, but it didn't. 2 days after blocking him, I got a text message from a number I didn't recognize. "Hi, Evelette. It's me, Alaric. I know you blocked me on the app, but I think there was a misunderstanding. Can we talk?" My heart raced. How did he have my number? I hadn't given it to him. Love Sync didn't share phone numbers. You could only message each other through the app. I didn't reply. I blocked him too. I changed my privacy settings on all my social media accounts. I set everything to private. That night, as I was lying in bed checking Instagram, I received a direct message notification. It was from an account I didn't follow. The username was just random numbers. I opened the message. It was a photo of me, taken today, walking down the street near my apartment. I was wearing the same clothes I had worn today. Blue jeans, white t-shirt, my favorite canvas bag over my shoulder. The message said, "You look beautiful when you walk. You have a very distinctive gait. Do you always go to that cafe on the corner on Wednesdays?" I felt as if someone had poured ice water over me. I sat on the bed staring at the photo, my breathing quickening. Had he been following me? How did he know where I lived? How had he taken this photo without me noticing? I blocked the account. I reported the message. I closed Instagram with trembling hands. My phone vibrated immediately. A text message from the same number I had blocked earlier. Blocking me isn't going to work, Evelette. I'll find other ways to get to you. How was I receiving messages from a blocked number? That shouldn't be possible. I checked my settings. The number was definitely blocked. But the message was there, clear as day. I called my phone company. I explained the situation. They told me they would change my number at no cost. I agreed immediately. The next day, I had a new number. I only gave it to my close contacts. My family, Poet, my work clients, no one else. I felt a little safer. It lasted exactly 2 hours. My phone vibrated with a message from an unknown number. New number, Evelette. Smart, but not smart enough. My blood ran cold. This wasn't possible. How did he have my new number? I had changed it literally 2 hours ago. Another message arrived. I see you're going to the coffee shop on the corner. Blue Rooster, right? Let me guess. You're going to order your usual vanilla latte with oat milk. Want me to order it for you? I can have it ready when you arrive. I looked around my apartment in a panic. How did he know I was about to go to the coffee shop? I had only decided 5 minutes ago. I hadn't told anyone. I hadn't posted anything on social media. And then it hit me. I looked at my phone with a new kind of horror. What if he could see my phone? What if he had hacked my device somehow? He was a software engineer. That's what he had said. Could he do that? Hack a phone. I decided to try something. I opened the Notes app on my phone and typed, "I don't know how you're doing this, but if you can see this, leave me alone." 30 seconds later, my phone vibrated. I can see everything, Evelette. Every message, every search, every photo, everything. And you're right about the latte. You're out in 5 minutes. Panic exploded in my chest. I grabbed my laptop and frantically searched how to tell if your phone is hacked. The results mentioned battery drain, unknown apps, strange behavior. I checked my phone. There were some apps I didn't recognize, generic names like System Services and Security Updater. Had they always been there? I wasn't sure. I tried to delete them. It wouldn't let me. It said they were essential system apps. My phone vibrated again. You can't delete them, love. They're part of the system now, like me. I'm part of your life now, whether you like it or not. I felt nauseous. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. When I was done, I sat on the cold tile floor, shaking. What could I do? Get rid of my phone. But I needed my phone for work. All my client contacts were on there. My work files. Everything. I decided to go to the police. I got dressed quickly and left my apartment. As I walked to my car, my phone vibrated constantly with notifications. "Where are you going, Evelette?" "That green blouse looks good on you." "Your car needs cleaning. When was the last time you washed it?" "Don't go to the police. They won't believe your phone is hacked. They'll think you're being paranoid." I kept walking, ignoring the messages. But he was right. When I got to the police station and explained everything to an officer named Gentry, I saw the skepticism in his eyes. "Do you have physical evidence that this man is harassing you?" he asked. "The messages. I can show you." I pulled out my phone. The messages were gone, all of them. My entire chat history with Alaric deleted. No, they were here. I swear they were here. "Miss Nash, I understand that the world of online dating can be stressful, but without evidence, there's not much we can do. If you receive direct threats, come back and we'll file a report." I left the station feeling helpless. In the car, my phone vibrated. "I told you they wouldn't believe you. No one will believe you. But I believe you, Evelette. I believe in us." I drove to Poet's house. She worked from home as a video editor, so I knew she'd be there. When she opened the door and saw my face, she immediately hugged me. "What happened?" I told her everything. Poet listened, her expression growing more serious with each detail. "You need a new phone," she finally said. "Not just a new number, a completely new device, and we need to take it to someone who understands technology to see what's on your current phone." He was right. We went to an electronics store. I bought a new iPhone with my credit card, feeling the pain of the expense, but knowing it was necessary. The clerk, A young guy named Dashiell helped me set it up. "Do you want to transfer your data from your old phone?" he asked. "No. Start completely from scratch." I briefly explained the situation. His eyes widened. "Can I see your old phone? If someone really hacked it, they could have installed spyware or a Trojan." I gave him my old phone. Dashiell connected it to a laptop and started checking. After 10 minutes, he whistled softly. "Yeah, there's definitely something here. There's a program I've never seen before. It basically gives someone complete remote access. They can see your screen in real time, read your messages, access your cameras. Everything. Can you remove it? It's deeply integrated into the operating system. I'd need to do a complete factory reset, and even then, I'm not sure it would get everything. Honestly, the best thing to do is to get rid of this phone altogether." I felt a mixture of validation and terror. At least I wasn't crazy, but knowing that someone had had that level of access to my private life made me feel violated in a way I couldn't describe. I left the store with my new phone, leaving the old one with Dashiell to be properly destroyed. For the first time in days, I felt like I could breathe. New phone, new number. No way for Alaric to track me down. I went to work the next day feeling almost normal. I worked from a co-working office downtown, a space shared with other freelancers. I liked the energy, the feeling of being surrounded by people even though I worked alone. I sat down at my usual desk by the window, opened my laptop, and started working on a branding project for a new client. After an hour, I took a break and checked my new phone. I had an email notification from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line read, "I miss you." With trembling hands, I opened the email. There was no text, just an attached photo. I downloaded it. It was a photo of my feet, taken from below, from under my desk. My shoes, the bar of the stool, the floor of the co-working space. The photo had been taken today. Today, in the last 60 minutes, I looked around the space, frantically. There were maybe 20 people working. Which one was him? Was he here right now? I got up so fast that my chair fell backward with a crash. Everyone looked. I grabbed my things and ran out, my heart beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. In the parking lot, I sat in my car with the doors locked, trying to calm down. How had he known where I worked? I had never told him. I hadn't even mentioned it in our conversations on LoveSync. My phone vibrated. Another email. "Why did you leave so quickly? We didn't even finish working together." I replied without thinking. "How did you find me?" The answer came seconds later. "I never lost you, Evelett. Changing your phone doesn't change who you are. It doesn't change your routines. You go to the same coffee shop. You work at the same place. You live in the same apartment. You're predictable." He was right. I had changed my device, but not my life. And if he had been watching me before, he knew all my places. I drove home a different route, constantly checking my rearview mirror to see if anyone was following me. I didn't see anything suspicious, but that didn't make me feel any better. In my apartment, I closed all the curtains. I checked every room, every closet, under the bed. I was alone, but I didn't feel alone. That night, around 10 o'clock, I was lying in bed trying to sleep when my phone vibrated. One notification, then another, and another, one after another, non-stop. I grabbed my phone. They were notifications from my GPS app, Google Maps. But I hadn't opened the app. The notifications said things like, "New route saved. You're home to Waterfront Park. New marker, special place. Recommended route, 15 minutes from your location." What the hell? I opened the app. There was a route mapped out, from my current location to an alley. An alley in an industrial part of town I had never visited. My phone vibrated with a text message. Unknown number. "Follow the route, Evelett. I have something that belongs to you. I'm not going anywhere. Leave me alone. Look in your closet." My blood ran cold. I slowly got out of bed, walked to my closet, and turned on the light. My bag. My favorite canvas bag that I always carried. It wasn't there. I was sure I had hung it on its usual hook when I got home, but it was gone. See? Another message arrived. I have your bag. Your wallet is inside. Your license, your credit cards, all your ID. If you want it back, follow the route. I frantically searched the rest of the apartment. The bag was nowhere to be found. How had he taken it? When? Had he been in my apartment? I checked the locks. They were intact. The windows were closed. There were no signs of forced entry. You won't find out how I got in, came another message. But I was there, standing next to your bed while you napped this afternoon. You smelled like lavender. Your shampoo, I guess. I felt like I was going to throw up. Had I taken a nap today? Yes. I had come home from the co-working space early, exhausted from stress, and slept for about an hour on the couch. And he had been here, inside my apartment, while I slept. Follow the route, Evelette, midnight. If you don't come, your information will be on the internet by tomorrow morning. Social security number, bank accounts, everything. I looked at the clock. 10:47 p.m. I had just over an hour to decide what to do. I called Poet. I told him everything. Don't go, he said immediately. This is what he wants. He wants to trap you somewhere isolated. Call the police right now. I called the police. This time a different officer came, a woman named Quinley Frost. I showed her the messages, the route on my GPS, and explained about the stolen bag. Are you sure you had it when you got home? She asked. Yes, I always hang it in the same place. And there are no signs of forced entry? No. Does anyone else have a key to your apartment? Only the landlord. Frost frowned. I'll go with you to that location. Let's see what's there. But you're not going alone, and you're not going unarmed. She showed me her service pistol. At 11:45 p.m., I drove to the location the GPS had marked for me, with Frost following in her patrol car. The area became more desolate as I got closer. Abandoned warehouses, empty streets, broken streetlights. The GPS led me to an alley between two industrial buildings. I parked on the street, with Frost parking behind me. We got out of our cars. Stay behind me, Frost ordered, his hand on his gun. We walked into the alley. It was dark, lit only by the faint light of the moon. Trash and debris covered the ground. It smelled of urine and decay, and then I saw it. My bag, hanging from a rusty hook on the wall of the building, halfway down the alley. There it is, I whispered. Frost took out his flashlight and illuminated the area. There was no one there. The alley was empty except for the trash in my bag. Wait here, Frost said. He walked toward the bag carefully, checking every shadow, every corner. He reached for the bag, took it off the hook, opened it, and inspected the contents. Your wallet's here, he called out. Looks like everything's intact. I let out a sigh of relief. But then Frost froze, staring at something inside the bag. He pulled something out. A phone, my old phone, the one I had left for Dashiell to destroy. Is this your old phone? He asked. Yes, but it was supposed to be destroyed. The phone turned on in Frost's hand. The screen glowed in the darkness, and then it started to ring. Not a normal ringtone. A voice coming out of the speakers. Hello, Officer Frost. Thank you for accompanying Evelette, but this is between her and me. Frost almost dropped the phone. Who is this? Someone who loves Evelette very much. Someone who would do anything for her. This is criminal harassment, Frost said firmly. You need to turn yourself in. I don't think I will. The voice sounded amused. Look behind you. We both turned around. At the end of the alley where we had entered stood a figure. A man, silhouetted against the streetlights. Tall, thin, hands in his pockets. Alaric, I whispered. Hands where I can see them, Frost shouted, drawing his gun. Stay where you are. The figure didn't move, but he didn't raise his hands either. I can't do that, said the voice on the phone. Evelette and I have too much to talk about. Frost pointed her gun. Last warning, hands up now. The figure began to walk toward us. Slowly, deliberately. Frost fired a warning shot into the air. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space of the alley. The figure stopped. "Interesting," said the voice on the phone. "But look closer." Frost focused her flashlight on the figure, and then I saw what it was. It wasn't a person. It was a mannequin. A store mannequin dressed in men's clothing propped up against the wall with sticks. "What the hell?" Frost muttered. "I like to play," said the voice. "You thought I was there, but I'm here." And then I heard footsteps behind us. At the other end of the alley, we turned around. Another figure. This one was moving, walking toward us. Definitely human. "Get down," Frost shouted. "Now." But the figure kept walking. And as it got closer, I began to see its features in the dim light. Dark hair, glasses, trimmed beard. It was him. It really was Alaric. Frost fired another warning shot. Alaric stopped but smiled. "You're not going to shoot me, Officer Frost. Not when I'm unarmed and cooperating." "You have an arrest warrant for harassment," Frost lied. "Stay where you are." "There is no warrant. I've checked. I'm a software engineer, remember? I can access a lot of systems." My new phone vibrated in my pocket. I had been so focused on the old phone that I had forgotten I had my new device. I took it out. The screen showed the camera app, but I hadn't opened it. The front camera was active, showing me my own face, pale and terrified on the screen. And then the image changed. The camera flipped, showing the view behind me. And there, on the screen, I saw Alaric. But he wasn't where I thought he was. He wasn't at the end of the alley. He was directly behind me, so close that I could see every detail of his face on the screen. Smiling. "Surprise," whispered his real voice, not the one on the phone, right in my ear. I screamed and turned around, but he was already moving. Frost was turning too, her gun moving to aim, but Alaric was faster. Somehow he had gotten behind us without us hearing him, and then everything was chaos. Frost shouting orders, me backing away, Alaric running to the other end of the alley, Frost chasing him, me standing there shaking, staring at my phone where the front camera was still active, recording everything. Frost caught up with Alaric in the street. He tackled him. He handcuffed him while he laughed, shouting that he hadn't done anything wrong, that he just wanted to talk, that he was in love. More patrol cars arrived. They asked me questions. They took my statement. They confiscated my old phone as evidence. They told me that Alaric would be charged with multiple counts: harassment, trespassing, theft, cybercrime. It should have ended there. It should have been the end. But that night, when I finally got home at 4 a.m, exhausted and traumatized, I made a decision. I was going to delete everything. Every dating app, every social network, every single thing that made me vulnerable to being found online. I opened LoveSync, the app that had started all this, and pressed delete account. The app asked me if I was sure. I pressed yes. The app closed, and then my phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. "Did you delete the app? That's okay. I don't need it anymore. I found another way to be close to you." My heart stopped. Another message arrived. "Check your smartwatch, love." My Apple Watch. I wore it all the time. It let me see notifications without taking out my phone, track my exercise, pay in stores. I looked at it. The screen lit up without me touching it, and it started showing information, but not my usual information. Information about me. Written as if it were someone else's. Heart rate, 142 BPM. She's scared. I can feel it. Location, your apartment, bedroom, alone. Last payment, Blue Rooster Coffee, $650. Predictable. And then the most chilling message. "I'm in your smartwatch now, honey. Closer than ever. You can feel my pulse beating with yours. Isn't that romantic?" I tried to take off my watch. The clasp wouldn't open. It was stuck. Or it had been tampered with somehow. I pulled hard on it, feeling panic building. My phone vibrated again. "Don't take it off. It's the only way I can feel you now. Your heart beating, your body temperature, your footsteps. It's like we're physically connected." I finally managed to rip the watch off, breaking the strap in the process. I threw it across the room as if it were a poisonous spider. The watch landed against the wall and fell to the floor, but from there, I could still hear a voice, coming from the device's small speakers. No matter how far you run, Evelette, I'll find another way, another device, your laptop, your smart TV, your thermostat. Everything is connected now. Everything can be hacked. And I'll always be there, watching you, feeling you, loving you. I sat on the floor of my bedroom, hugging myself, shaking. I had turned in my old phone. Alaric was in custody, but somehow, impossibly, he still had access. He could still reach me. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the dark, staring at all my electronic devices that I had piled up on the other side of the room. The watch, the phone, my laptop, my tablet, my e-reader. All with cameras, all with microphones, all connected to the internet. All potentially windows for him to watch me. The next day, I hired a cybersecurity expert, a man named Vesper Leong, who specialized in cases of digital harassment. I paid him $3,000. I didn't have to check all my devices, my internet network, everything. He found malware on my laptop, tracking software on my tablet, and on my smartwatch, he found something I'd never seen before, a custom program that not only tracked my data but allowed complete remote control of the device. Whoever did this is extremely sophisticated, Vesper said, his face serious. This isn't software you can download. This was programmed specifically for your devices. How did he gain physical access to your technology? I don't know. They must have gotten into my apartment when I wasn't there. You need to change everything, all new devices. Completely new complex passwords. Two-factor authentication on everything, and consider moving. If they know where you live. Vesper was right. But move, change all my devices, start my life over. The idea was overwhelming. That night, I stayed with Poet again. Her apartment felt like the only safe place. I told her everything Vesper had found. You need to call the police again, she said. This is additional evidence. This proves he hacked you. I called. I gave her all the information Vesper had found. They told me they would add it to the case against Alaric, that it strengthened the charges, that he would likely face years in prison. But that didn't make me feel any better, because I knew that before they locked him up, he would have time to plan, time to find new ways to get to me. 2 days later, I got a call from the district attorney's office. Alaric had filed a motion for bail. His lawyer argued that he was a law-abiding citizen with no criminal record, that he wasn't a flight risk, that the evidence was mostly circumstantial. The judge had granted bail. Alaric was going to be released that afternoon. I felt as if the floor had disappeared beneath my feet. Released? How could they release him when he had broken into my apartment, stolen my things, hacked my devices? He has a restraining order, the prosecutor assured me over the phone. He can't come within 500 feet of you. If he violates the order, he goes straight back to jail. But 500 feet meant nothing to someone who could hack devices remotely. It meant nothing to someone who had been watching me through cameras. That night, I hired a security company to install cameras in my apartment. Real security cameras with their own closed system that wasn't connected to my home internet network. I also hired a locksmith to change all the locks. When they were done, I felt a little safer, but only a little. I went to bed that night with my new phone under my pillow, ready to call 911 at any moment. All the lights in my apartment were on. I wasn't going to sleep in the dark anymore. Around 3 in the morning, I heard something, a soft sound like a vibration, but not my phone. It was lower, more constant. I got up and followed the sound. It led me to my bedroom closet. At the back, behind my shoes, there was something. A small black device stuck to the wall. It was flashing with a small red light. I ripped it off. It was a GPS tracker. The kind people put in cars to know where they are, but this one was in my closet. God knows how long it had been there. My phone vibrated. A message. You found one. But there are more. Evelette. Many more. in your apartment, in your car, in your bag. I will always know where you are. Always. I spent the rest of the night searching frantically. I found 3 more trackers, one in my car, under the driver's seat, one inside my laptop bag, one behind my bathroom mirror. When had he put them there? When? I had changed all the locks. I had installed security cameras. How was he still getting in? I called Vesper again. She came at 6 in the morning with detection equipment. We spent 4 hours checking every inch of my apartment. We found 2 more trackers that I had overlooked, but she also found something more disturbing. In my smart thermostat, there was a program that allowed someone to listen in on conversations through the built-in microphone. He's basically turned your apartment into a recording studio, Vesper said. He can hear every word you say. I felt violated in a way I couldn't express. Every private conversation, every phone call, every moment I thought I was alone. He had been listening. You need to get out of here, Vesper said. This place is compromised in ways we probably haven't even discovered yet. You need a whole new place. But I didn't have the money to move. I had spent all my savings on security, on new devices, on the cybersecurity expert. That night, Poet told me I could stay with her for as long as I needed. I packed a suitcase and left my apartment, feeling like a refugee fleeing a war zone. At Poet's apartment, I was finally able to sleep. For the first time in 2 weeks, I slept through the night without waking up. But the next morning, when I checked my new phone, I had an email from Alaric's lawyer. Dear Ms. Nash, on behalf of my client, Alaric Thorne, I am writing to inform you that he is filing a lawsuit for defamation of character. Your client alleges that you have made false accusations that have damaged his reputation and resulted in his wrongful arrest. He is seeking compensation for damages, including loss of employment and emotional distress. Please contact our office to discuss a resolution. I read the email 3 times, unable to believe what I was seeing. Was he suing me? After everything he had done to me, I called the prosecutor assigned to my case. He explained that it was a common intimidation tactic, that Alaric had no case, that he was just trying to scare me into withdrawing my testimony. Don't withdraw anything, the prosecutor told me. What he did to you is criminal. He will face justice. But the email had scared me, and I think that was the point. That afternoon, while Poet was in a video meeting in his room, I was sitting in his living room, checking my laptop, trying to work, trying to feel normal. And then my screen flickered. For a second, just a second, I saw something. An image of me, sitting on Poet's couch, taken from the angle of my laptop's webcam. The image disappeared so quickly that I almost thought I had imagined it. But then my laptop froze. The screen went black, and words appeared, written in white code on the black background. You thought you were safe at your friend's house, but I followed you here too. I am in every device, every screen, every camera. You can't escape me, Evelette. We are part of each other now, forever. I slammed the laptop shut. My hands were shaking so violently that I could barely hold on to it. He had hacked my new laptop too, the one Vesper had checked, the one that was supposed to be safe. Poet came out of his room. Are you okay? You look terrible. I showed him what had happened. His face turned pale. This has to stop, he said. We're going to the police right now with your laptop. They'll be able to trace it. We went to the station. This time, they took us seriously. They confiscated my laptop. They brought it to their cybercrime department. They told me they were going to trace the source of the hack, but I knew it didn't matter. Alaric was too smart, too sophisticated. He'd find another way, another device, another method. That night, I sat on Poet's couch with all my devices turned off and put away. No phone, no laptop, no watch, nothing connected to the internet. And for the first time in weeks, I felt disconnected, alone, but in a good way, as if I had finally regained some privacy. But then Poet screamed from her room. I ran over there. She was standing in front of her laptop, her hands over her mouth. What's wrong? Look. Her screen showed her email, but the email that was open wasn't one she had opened. It was a new email, to her, from Alaric. The subject line read, "Tell Evelyn I miss her." The body of the email contained a single image, a photo of Poet and me in her living room, taken tonight, maybe an hour ago. How? Poet whispered. I looked around her room. Her laptop had a webcam. Her phone was on her desk. Her smart TV was mounted on the wall. He hacked your network, I said, my voice hollow. When I came here, he brought my devices and he tracked them. Now he has access to your stuff too. Poet's face showed growing horror. This is crazy. He can't just hack everything. But clearly he could, and he was doing it. We called the police again. This time they came with the detective from the cybercrime department, a man named Zephyr Cross. He checked Poet's network. He found the same kind of malware they had found on my devices. This guy is good, Cross admitted. Really good, but no one is invisible. We're going to find him. He asked if he could use my devices as bait, leave them on and connected to the internet, allow Alaric to access them, and they would track his location in real time. I agreed. What else could I do? That night, we left my new phone on the living room table, turned on and unlocked. Cross and 2 technicians were in the back room with tracking equipment, waiting. We waited. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3. And then my phone turned on by itself. The screen showed the messaging app opening, a new message being typed in real time. Hello, Detective Cross. I know you're there. I know you're trying to track me, but I'm better at this than you are. Cross cursed. How do you know I'm here? The phone continued typing. I can see through the front camera. I can hear through the microphone. You thought you were hunting me, but I'm hunting you. And then my screen changed. It showed a video feed, live, from the room where we were sitting. The angle was from my phone on the table, showing Cross and his technicians frantically checking their equipment, Poet and me sitting on the couch with terrified faces. Smile for the camera, Evelyn, text appeared over the video. See you tonight in your dreams. The screen went black. The phone shut down completely. Cross grabbed the phone and put it in a Faraday bag, a special bag that blocks all signals. I'm sorry, he said. We couldn't track it. He's using some kind of proxy or multi-layered VPN, but don't give up. We're going to catch him. But I had lost hope. How do you catch someone who can be anywhere and nowhere at the same time? Someone who can see through any camera, listen through any microphone, control any connected device. You can't. You just can't. Now, 4 months later, I'm still living with Poet. Alaric went to trial. He was found guilty on all counts. He got 8 years. I should feel safe. I should be able to move on, but I can't. Because even though he's in prison, his programs are still out there. Somewhere. On servers. In the cloud. On devices we haven't found yet. And every time I turn on a device, every time I see a camera, I wonder, is he there? Can he still see me? Last week, my new smartwatch, one I bought after the trial, one no one knew I had, vibrated with a notification I never set up. Your heart rate is elevated. Are you thinking of me? I threw it on the floor and stomped on it until it broke into pieces. But that night, when I lay down in the dark, I felt something, a vibration, very faint, against my chest. It was my pacemaker, the pacemaker that had been implanted 2 years ago after an arrhythmia, and it was vibrating in a pattern, like Morse code. ILOVE, my pacemaker was sending me a message. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just lay there in the dark, feeling the device inside my own body, pulsing with words that weren't mine, knowing there was no escape, because he was right. Now we are connected. His code in my devices. His programs in my technology. His presence in every aspect of my digital life. And in this world where everything is connected, where every device has a camera, a microphone, an internet connection, There is no way to be truly alone. There is no way to be truly safe. My name is Indigo Byrne, and what I'm about to tell you happened over 3 weeks last winter on the outskirts of Spokane, Washington. I still can't drive at night without constantly checking the rearview mirror, without feeling those headlights there again, following me like glowing eyes in the dark. I work as a night delivery driver for Quick Ship Logistics, midnight to 8 a.m. shifts, delivering urgent packages to businesses and residences. It's a lonely, low-paying job, but it pays the bills while I finish my online degree. Or at least, that's what it used to be. A boring job, repetitive, safe, until he showed up. The first time I saw the black car was on a Tuesday in early December. I had picked up my load at midnight at the warehouse, 20 packages to deliver within a 30-mile radius. The night was cold and clear, without the fog that would come later. I drove my old Honda Civic through the empty streets. The radio turned down low so I wouldn't fall asleep, following the route the GPS marked for me. My third delivery was in an industrial area near the airport. Wide streets, dark warehouses, not a soul in sight. I parked in front of warehouse 47B, grabbed the package from my back seat, and walked to the loading door. The package required a signature, so I rang the bell and waited, hopping up and down to keep warm in the freezing air. As I waited, I saw lights behind me. Headlights. A car had just turned onto the street and stopped about 100 yards away. It just sat there, engine running, headlights illuminating the empty street. The security guard finally opened the gate. An older man named Herschel, who already knew me from previous deliveries. He signed for the package, we exchanged a few words about the cold, and I returned to my car. The black car was still there. It hadn't moved. I got into my Honda, started the engine, and continued on my way. In my rear-view mirror, I saw the headlights of the black car come on and start moving. It was following me. At first, I didn't think much of it. It was a public street. Maybe it was another night worker, someone else with deliveries to make. I turned left at the next intersection. The black car turned too. I turned right 2 blocks later. The black car followed me, always keeping the same distance, about 50 meters behind me. Close enough that I could see its headlights in my mirror, but far enough that I couldn't make out the model or license plate. My next delivery was at an office complex. I parked, grabbed the package, and looked back. The black car had parked at the end of the street, just waiting. I made the delivery quickly, leaving the package in the secure mailbox as instructed. The whole time I could feel those headlights watching me. When I got back to my car and started the engine, the black car started too. It followed me for the next 4 deliveries. Everywhere I went, it went. Always keeping the same distance, never getting too close, never getting too far away. By the 8th delivery, I was officially scared. I considered calling the police, but what would I tell them? That someone was driving the same streets as me, that I felt like I was being watched. It hadn't done anything threatening. It just kept following me. I decided to try something. Instead of going to my 9th delivery, I took a different route. I turned down dark residential streets, making random turns, trying to lose him. The headlights disappeared from my mirror. I let out a sigh of relief. It had just been a coincidence, just my imagination working overtime in the solitude of the night. I returned to my route, feeling foolish for having been frightened. But when I arrived at my 9th delivery, a house in a quiet suburban neighborhood, there they were again. The headlights, at the end of the street, waiting. How had it known where I was going? How had it found me after all those turns? I finished my remaining deliveries with my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles hurt. The black car followed me to the last one. And when I finally returned to the warehouse at 8 in the morning, exhausted and nervous, the headlights disappeared. As if they had never been there. I told my supervisor, a man named Quillen Draper, about the black car. He frowned but didn't seem too concerned. "It's probably just someone who works the same shift as you," he said. "The streets are empty at night. It's natural to run into the same cars." "But it followed me to every delivery," I insisted. Did it do anything threatening? Did it follow you home? No, but then it's probably nothing. But if it happens again, write it down. Car model, license plate if you can see it. And call me if you feel you're in real danger. It didn't make me feel any better, but what else could I do? That night, when I went back to work, I was tense. Every car I saw could have been him. Every pair of headlights made me jump, but the shift passed without incident. I didn't see the black car anywhere. I began to relax. Maybe Quillen was right. Maybe it had been a coincidence. The second night was also uneventful. By the third night, I had almost forgotten about it. And then the fog came. On the fourth night of that week, a thick fog settled over Spokane. The kind of fog that turns headlights into fuzzy halos of light, that makes familiar streets look strange and unfamiliar. Visibility maybe 20 feet. I drove slowly, high beams on, following the GPS more than my eyes. I saw the headlights in my mirror during my second delivery. 2 circles of yellow light floating in the fog like ghostly eyes. My heart raced. It was him. It had to be him. The black car followed me all night, but the fog made it worse. I couldn't see the car itself, just those headlights. Just those eyes watching me from the whiteness. Sometimes they disappeared when the fog thickened, and I wondered if it was gone. And then there they were again, materializing out of thin air. After my 5th delivery, as I was walking back to my car, I heard something. An engine sound. Close. Too close. I looked around but couldn't see anything through the fog. Only whiteness. And then slowly the headlights appeared. The black car emerging from the fog like a shark from dark water. It stopped about 10 feet away from me. I froze, my hand on the door handle of my car. The black car's engine purred softly. I could see a silhouette behind the wheel. Male, I think. But the details were obscured by the combination of fog and the glare of the headlights. I quickly opened my door and got inside, locking it immediately. I started my car with trembling hands and drove away as fast as I dared in such poor visibility. The headlights followed me. Closer now, almost at my rear bumper. I could see them filling my rearview mirror, those glowing eyes in the fog. "Leave me alone," I whispered, as if it could hear me. "Please, just leave me alone." I sped up. It sped up. I stayed at 50 miles per hour on streets where the limit was 35, praying I wouldn't crash into something hidden in the fog. The headlights stayed right behind me. And then, as suddenly as it had appeared, it disappeared. I looked in my mirror and there was nothing. Just fog. When I arrived at my next delivery, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the package. I finished my remaining deliveries in a state of barely controlled panic, expecting those headlights to reappear at any moment. They didn't. But when I returned to my car after my last delivery and opened the back door to reorganize the empty packages, I saw something that made my heart stop. Crumbs. On my back seat. Cookie crumbs. But not just any cookies. The chocolate chip cookies I had eaten during my break at 4 in the morning. I had eaten in my car, sitting in the driver's seat, leaving a few crumbs on my lap that I had shaken onto the floor. But these crumbs were in the back seat, where I hadn't been sitting, where I had stored packages all night but never eaten. I frantically looked at the car. The doors were locked, the windows intact. There were no signs of forced entry, and yet there were the crumbs, as if someone had been sitting in my back seat, eating my cookies, or maybe they had been in my back seat while I was driving, and I had never noticed. I checked every inch of the car, under the seats, in the trunk. No one was there, but someone had been there. Someone had been in my car. I drove straight to the nearest police station. It was 6 in the morning, and the sun was beginning to rise, burning away the fog. I told an officer named Detective Embry Wick everything. The black car, the headlights following me, and now this. Evidence that someone had broken into my vehicle. Wick took notes, but I could see he wasn't entirely convinced. "Are you sure you didn't eat in the back seat and forget about it?" "I'm sure." "And the doors were locked?" "Yes, I always lock them." "Does anyone else have keys to your car?" "Only me." Wick frowned. I'll file a report, and I recommend you install a dash cam. If this car is really following you, the camera will catch it. Evidence we can use. I bought a dash cam that same day. A good one, with front and rear recording, night vision, everything. I installed it before my shift that night, feeling a little safer knowing that I was now documenting everything. The black car didn't show up that night, or the next. I started to think that maybe it had gotten scared, that it knew I had gone to the police and had decided to give it up. But then the gifts arrived. It was my 6th shift after the crumbs incident. I left the warehouse at midnight with my usual load of packages. I got into my car, put the keys in the ignition, and then I saw it. A box, small, wrapped in brown paper, sitting in my passenger seat. My heart raced. It hadn't been there when I parked the car an hour ago. The doors had been locked. I had the only keys. I looked around the parking lot. Empty. The warehouse security cameras pointed toward the building, not the parking area. With trembling hands, I grabbed the box. It was light. It sounded like something was moving inside when I shook it gently. I shouldn't open it. I should take it to the police. But curiosity and fear got the better of me. I ripped off the brown paper. Inside was a black velvet jewelry box. I opened it. My necklace. My favorite necklace that I had lost 3 months ago. A thin silver chain with a small crescent moon pendant that my grandmother had given me before she died. I thought I had lost it somewhere, maybe at the gym or the grocery store. I had cried for days, but here it was, returned to me. Except it wasn't alone. It was wrapped in a white handkerchief. And the handkerchief had stains, reddish-brown stains, blood, old dried blood. I dropped the box as if it burned me. The necklace fell into my lap, the stained handkerchief unfolding. My breath came in short gasps. Whose blood was it? Mine. I didn't remember hurting myself when I lost the necklace. His then, or someone else's. I bit my lip so hard I tasted the metallic taste of my own blood. The pain snapped me out of it. I grabbed my phone and called 911. 911, what is your emergency? Someone got into my car. They left something. There's blood. My voice sounded hysterical even to my own ears. They told me not to touch anything else, that they were sending a patrol car immediately. I waited in the parking lot with my car doors locked, watching every shadow, waiting to see those headlights appear. The police arrived 20 minutes later. 2 officers, one of them Detective Wick from before. They examined the box, the necklace, the handkerchief. They took photos. They put everything in evidence bags. We're going to analyze the blood, Wick said, and we're going to check the warehouse security cameras, see if they caught anything. I already told you the cameras don't point at the parking lot. I know, but maybe they caught someone entering or leaving the area. They found nothing. The cameras showed the empty parking lot. No cars entering or leaving except mine. No one walking toward my vehicle. As if the package had materialized out of thin air. Are you absolutely sure no one else has access to your keys? Wick asked for the 3rd time. Yes, only me. I carry them with me all the time. What about your apartment? Is there somewhere you keep them? In my purse, which I carry with me, or on the hook by the door when I'm at home. Wick exchanged a glance with the other officer. Miss Byrne, do you live alone? Yes. And your apartment? Is it on the ground floor? Yes. Why? Just making sure your living space is secure. Would you mind if we sent someone to check your apartment to make sure there are no signs of entry? A chill ran down my spine. Do you think he's been in my apartment? Just being cautious. 2 officers came to my apartment that morning. They checked the locks, the windows, looked for signs of tampering. Everything seemed intact. But before they left, one of them, a young officer named Reverie Santos, gave me some advice. Change the locks anyway, she said, and consider installing security cameras. If this guy has been following you, we don't know what else he might be doing. I changed the locks that same day. I installed a security camera pointing at my door. I bought pepper spray and kept it in my purse. I began obsessively checking my car before every shift. Under the seats, in the trunk, even under the car in case he had installed a GPS tracker. I found nothing, but the paranoia had taken hold. Every noise in my apartment made me jump. Every car on the street could be him. I couldn't sleep without checking the locks 3 times. The blood results came back after a week. It was human blood, type O positive. There were no matches in any database. It wasn't from any known crime scene, just blood from someone unknown. The next few days were quiet. No more gifts, no more signs of the black car. I started to think that maybe the cameras I had installed had scared him off. Maybe knowing that I was documenting everything, that the police were involved, had been enough. I was wrong. It was a Friday night, 2 weeks after the necklace incident. My route took me along a quiet country road between 2 small towns. A 5-mile stretch with no houses, no businesses, just dark fields on either side and the black sky above. I was halfway through that stretch when I saw the headlights behind me. 2 points of light approaching quickly in my rearview mirror. They were coming too fast. My speedometer read 55. The headlights caught up with me in seconds. It was him, the black car. So close now that I could see it was a sedan, maybe a Honda Accord or something similar. But the license plates were covered with mud, impossible to read. My dash cam was recording. Good. Evidence. I would finally have evidence. The black car got closer. Now it was feet away from my rear bumper. If I braked even a little, we would crash. And then he accelerated. He moved into the opposite lane and began to pass me. As he drove past me, I tried to see the driver, but the windows were heavily tinted, just a dark silhouette. The black car passed me completely, then abruptly cut into my lane, right in front of me, and then he braked. The brake lights flashed bright red. I instinctively slammed on my brakes, my car skidding, the tires screeching against the asphalt. I managed to stop inches from his bumper. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. What was he doing? Trying to crash us, trying to kill me. The black car sat there, stopped in the middle of the road. Its engine idling. I sat in my car, my hands gripping the steering wheel, not knowing what to do. Turn around. There was no room on this narrow road. Back up. What if he followed me? The driver's door of the black car opened. Panic exploded in my chest. I put my car in reverse, ready to flee. But then, the figure got out of the car and stood in the headlights. It was a man. Tall, average build. He was wearing a dark jacket, jeans, and a cap that hid his face. He walked to the side of his car, to the passenger window, and leaned inside. When he straightened up, he had something in his hands. He held it up, showing it to me. My car's headlights illuminated it perfectly. It was a photo in a frame. Even from a distance, even with my hands shaking and my vision blurred by tears, I could see what it was. It was me, as a child. Maybe 7 or 8 years old, on my swing in the backyard of my childhood home, smiling at the camera. But this wasn't a family photo. This one was taken from far away, from outside the fence. A surveillance photo. Someone had been watching me even then, when I was just a child. The man held the photo for a long time, making sure I saw it. And then he put it down, went back to his car and got in. But before closing the door, he turned his head. And although I couldn't see his features clearly under his cap, I saw something. A flash of white teeth. He was smiling. The black car started up. It sped off down the highway, leaving me behind in a cloud of exhaust fumes. I sat in my car for I don't know how long, 5 minutes, 10, shaking so violently that my teeth were chattering. I finally managed to get my phone out and call 911 again. By the time the police arrived, I was half hysterical. I told them everything, about the photo, about how he had cut me off. Detective Wick came personally this time, along with 3 other patrol cars. "Did your dash cam capture everything?" he asked. "Yes, everything. I have it recorded." We reviewed the video right there on the highway. The black car passing me, braking, the man getting out, showing the photo, his face looking toward my car. But when Wick zoomed in on that part, when he tried to capture the man's face, there was nothing, just darkness under the cap, as if he knew exactly where the camera was and how to keep his face hidden. "Did it catch the license plates?" I asked. "Covered in mud. Intentional. But there has to be something. The model of the car, the color. It's a black 2015-2017 Honda Accord. There are thousands of those in this city. No license plates, no face. It's almost impossible to identify it specifically. But the photo he showed, that proves he's been stalking me since I was a child. It proves someone has an old photo of you. It doesn't prove who or how they got it." Wick sighed. "Look, I get it. This is scary. But without positive identification, no face, no license plates, there's not much we can do except increase patrols on your route." "That's it? Just increase patrols? And I would strongly recommend that you consider taking time off from work. If this guy knows your route, he knows where to find you. Becoming less predictable might help. But I couldn't take time off, not without pay, and I couldn't afford to lose this job. So I kept working, every night feeling like I was walking to the slaughterhouse. The increased patrols helped. I saw police cars more often on my route. I didn't see the black car for 4 nights in a row. I began to breathe a little easier. And then I came home one morning after my shift and saw something that brought all the terror rushing back. My uniform, my quick ship work uniform that I had worn the night before. It was hanging on the coat rack by my door, clean, freshly ironed, the creases perfectly pressed, but I hadn't hung it there. When I got home that morning after my shift, I had thrown the dirty uniform in my laundry basket. I remembered it clearly. It had been covered in dirt after I slipped in the mud while making a delivery. Now it was spotless, clean, as if it had just come back from the dry cleaners. I walked slowly toward it, my heart pounding wildly. I touched the fabric. It was still warm, as if it had been ironed just minutes ago. I looked around my apartment frantically. The door had been locked when I arrived. The new locks were intact. The security cameras. I checked my phone. The cameras showed nothing unusual, no one coming or going. But the uniform was there. Someone had washed it, ironed it, hung it up. Someone had been in my apartment while I was at work, touching my things, my clothes. I called the police again. Wick came with a forensic team. They checked everything. Fingerprints on the uniform, on the hanger, on the iron that was in my supply closet still warm. They found no fingerprints, nothing, only mine. "How's that possible?" I asked, my voice breaking. "How can he get in without leaving a trace?" "Gloves," said one of the forensic technicians. "If he wears gloves, he leaves no fingerprints." "But the cameras should have caught him." They checked the security video frame by frame. There was nothing. No movement at my door. The cameras had been working properly the whole time. "Are there any other entrances to your apartment?" Wick asked. "Windows? Ventilation ducts?" We checked everything. The windows were locked from the inside. The ventilation ducts were too small for a person to fit through. There was no other way in except through the front door. And yet he had found a way. Somehow. "I can't stay here," I finally said. "I don't feel safe." "Do you have somewhere you can stay? Family? Friends?" My closest friend, Sparrow, lived across town. I called her and explained everything. She told me to come right over, that I could stay with her as long as I needed. I packed a suitcase, important documents, clothes, toiletries. I felt like I was running away, letting him win, but I couldn't stay in a place that had been violated like that. Before I left, Wick gave me a card. "This is my direct number. If anything happens, anything at all, call me immediately. Don't wait." I moved into Sparrow's place that afternoon. She was amazing, taking me in without question, making room for me in her small apartment. But even there, I didn't feel completely safe. What if he had followed me? What if he knew where Sparrow lived? That night, I went to work from Sparrow's place. I drove a different route to the warehouse, constantly checking my rearview mirror. I didn't see the black car. My shift was uneventful. No incidents, no strange gifts, no car following me. By the time I finished at 8 in the morning, I was beginning to relax. I drove back to Sparrow's place, taking yet another different route. The sun was up, morning traffic beginning to build. I felt safer in daylight, surrounded by other cars. I parked at Sparrow's apartment complex and walked to her building. She had left for work an hour ago, but she had given me a key. I climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor and put the key in the lock on her door. And then I heard something. A sound coming from inside the apartment. Music. Soft music playing on Sparrow's stereo. But Sparrow had turned everything off before she left. I was sure of it. I opened the door slowly. The apartment was silent except for the music. A song I didn't recognize. Something classical. Piano and violin. "Sparrow," I called. Maybe she had come back. Maybe she had forgotten something. There was no answer. I went inside, closing the door behind me. The living room looked normal. The kitchen was empty. I walked toward the bedroom Sparrow had given me. The door was ajar. I pushed it open completely. And there, scattered all over the bed, were photos. Dozens of photos. All of me. Photos from when I was a child. Photos from my teenage years. Photos from college. Recent photos from just weeks ago. Photos of me at work, at the gym, at the grocery store, walking down the street. A complete timeline of my life, documented by someone who had been watching me for decades. And in the middle of all the photos, there was a note, written in careful handwriting on white paper. "I know you better than you know yourself. I've been there for every important moment, every achievement, every failure, every tear, every smile. We are part of each other now, Indigo. We always have been. And soon, very soon, you will stop running and accept what we are." The photos fell from my hands. My breath came in short gasps. He had been here, at Sparrow's house, a place he supposedly didn't know about. How had he found me? How had he gotten in? I pulled out my phone to call Wick, but before I could dial, I received a text message. Unknown number. "Look in your rearview mirror." My rearview mirror. In my car. Now. I ran to the window overlooking the parking lot. 3 stories down, I could see my Honda, and next to it, parked in the adjacent space, was a black car. A black Honda Accord. The driver was still inside. I could see his silhouette. As I watched, the figure lifted something. A phone, pointing upward. Toward the window, where I was standing, he took a picture of me. Another text message arrived. "You look beautiful today, Indigo. Did you sleep well at Sparrow's house? I hope you liked the photos. I took some of my favorites to share with you." I backed away from the window, shaking. I called 911. I told them the stalker was there, right now, in the parking lot. They had to come immediately. "Stay inside with the doors locked," the operator instructed me. "Do not confront the suspect. Units are on their way." I looked out the window again. The black car was still there, waiting. And then, just as I heard sirens in the distance, the car started up. It pulled out of the parking lot calmly, unhurried, as if it had all the time in the world. By the time the police arrived, it was gone. Wick arrived 20 minutes later. He came up to the apartment, saw the photos scattered on the bed, his expression growing somber. "This has escalated," he said. "This isn't just harassment anymore. It's invasion. It's threat. We need to get you out of here. We need to get you to a safe place." "Where?" I asked, tears streaming down my face. "He found me in my own apartment. He found me here, in a place he shouldn't know about. How am I going to be safe anywhere?" Wick had no answer. That afternoon, they packed up the photos as evidence. An analyst reviewed them, trying to determine when and where they had been taken. Some were old, from decades ago. Others were recent, taken in the last few days. "Whoever is doing this has had access to you for a long time," the analyst said. "These childhood photos. Someone in your life when you were a child. A neighbor. A family friend. someone who has been there all along. I thought about my childhood, about the people I had known, neighbors, teachers, my parents' friends. Which one of them could it have been? Which one of them had been watching me even then, waiting for their moment? My parents, I said suddenly. I need to call my parents. They might know who took those photos. I called my mother. She lived in Florida now, retired with my father. I described some of the photos to her, the places where they had been taken. "Oh, honey," she said, her voice worried. "I don't know who would take photos like that. It sounds scary. Do you want your father and me to fly out there?" "No, I don't want you to get involved in this." But as we talked, something clicked in my mind. The childhood photos. They had all been taken at our old house, the house where I grew up, a house my parents had sold 15 years ago. "Mom, do you remember who bought our house on Maple Street?" "Oh, let me think. It was a young family. The Thorns? No, that's not right. The Cranes. The Cranes, I think." "Did they have children?" "Yes, one son. A teenage boy. Quiet. I don't remember his name." "What did he look like?" "Oh, honey, it was so long ago. Tall, I think. Thin. He always wore caps. Why do you ask?" "Because maybe that quiet boy had found something in the house. In my old room. Photos. Memorabilia. Maybe he had become obsessed with the girl who had lived there before him." I told Wick my theory. He contacted the records department. They found the sale of the house. The buyers had been Vernon and Callista Crane. They had a son, Alaric Crane, who would have been 16 when they moved. The police went to Alaric Crane's current address. He wasn't home, but the neighbors said he drove a black Honda Accord. It was him. Finally, they had a name, an address, real evidence. They put surveillance on his house. They issued an arrest warrant. They told me it was only a matter of time before they caught him. But that night, when I went to work, he was waiting. I saw the black car on my third delivery, parked at the end of the street, headlights off. I called Wick immediately. "He's here, on the corner of 15th Street and Roosevelt, the black car. Don't go near him, stay where there are people. We're sending units right now." But by the time the patrol cars arrived, the car was gone, as if he could sense they were coming. He followed me the rest of the night, always staying just out of reach, always disappearing before the police arrived. He was playing with me, showing me he could go wherever he wanted, that no matter how many cops were looking for him, he would always find me. At 6 in the morning, as I was driving to my last delivery, I saw the black car in my mirror again. But this time, it was getting closer. Fast. It pulled out sharply, cutting me off. I slammed on the brakes, skidding to a stop. The driver's door opened. Alaric Crane got out. No cap this time. I could see his face clearly. Ordinary. Brown hair, light eyes. Nothing that would make him stand out in a crowd. He walked up to my window. I had locked the doors, my hand on my phone ready to call 911. He smiled, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Hello, Indigo," he said, his voice muffled by the glass. "We finally meet properly." "Get away from my car," I yelled. "The police are on their way." "They're always on their way, but they never arrive on time, do they?" He leaned closer, his breath fogging up the glass. "I've waited so long for this, ever since I was 16 and found your diary in your old room. I read every entry. I learned everything about you, your hopes, your fears, your dreams. I knew you before I met you. You're sick. I'm in love." His smile widened. "And I know you love me too. You just don't know it yet, but you will. When we're together, when you stop fighting, you'll understand. We're meant to be." I stepped on the gas. My car lurched forward, forcing him to jump back. I drove around his black car and sped down the street, watching in my mirror as he stood there, still smiling, watching me drive away. This time he didn't follow me. This time he let me go. Because he had finally revealed himself. We had finally come face to face. And my dash cam had recorded everything. His face, his voice, his confession. The police arrested him that afternoon. They found him at his house, surrounded by more photos, more memorabilia, my diary from when I was 12, strands of my hair that he must have collected from somewhere, personal items he had stolen over the years. He faced multiple charges: aggravated harassment, trespassing, theft, invasion of privacy. Enough to keep him locked up for years. But when they arrested him, according to Wick, Alaric just smiled. And he said something that still haunts me. It doesn't matter. I'm already a part of her. I live in her mind now, in her fears, in every shadow she sees. I may be locked up, but she will never be free. He was right. 3 months have passed. Alaric is in prison awaiting trial. I quit my job as a night delivery driver. I moved into a new apartment in a high-security building. I changed my number. I shut down all my social media accounts. But I still feel it. I still see headlights in my rearview mirror, and my heart races. I still check my apartment obsessively, looking for signs that someone has been here. I still wake up in the night convinced I hear him breathing on the other side of my door. Last week I received a letter from the detention center where he's being held. I opened it against my better judgment. Dear Indigo, I miss you. I miss watching you. I miss being close to you. In here, all I have are my memories. All those photos the police confiscated, but I don't need photos. I remember you perfectly. Every detail, every movement, every expression. I'll be out in 7 years with good behavior, maybe less. And when I get out, I'm coming for you. No matter where you are, no matter how much you've changed, I'll find you. Because I know you, Indigo. I know you better than anyone. Forever yours, Alaric. Last night, I was lying in the dark when I heard something. A soft sound, like breathing. I turned on the light. There was no one there, but on my phone, which I had left on my nightstand, there was a notification. A new email, from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line read, "Soon," and the body of the email contained a single photo of me, in my bed, in my new apartment, taken from the corner of my room, taken tonight, while I was sleeping. My name is Calliope Mendez, and what I am about to tell you happened 5 months ago in my apartment in Brooklyn, New York. I still can't look out the windows without closing all the curtains. I still check behind every door before entering a room. And still, every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do is check that all the locks are set, even though I know it doesn't matter anymore. Because I learned something terrifying during those weeks. Locks only keep out people who respect boundaries. And he never respected them. It all started on a Tuesday in September. I was 31 years old, working as a copy editor for a medium-sized publishing house and living alone in a 1-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor of a red brick building in Park Slope. It was a modest but cozy place, with large windows overlooking the street. And, on the other side, the apartment building across the way. My routine was simple and predictable. Wake up at 6:30, make coffee, work from home most days, go out occasionally for meetings. A quiet life, boring perhaps, but it was mine. That Tuesday morning, I was in the kitchen making my usual coffee when I smelled something strange. Smoke. The coffee had burned in the pot because I had forgotten to put in enough water. I opened the kitchen window to air it out, cursing my absent-mindedness, and that's when I saw him. The apartment across the street, 3C, which had been empty for months, had its lights on. And standing at the window, looking directly into my kitchen, was a man. When our eyes met, he raised a hand and waved at me. A crooked smile spread across his face. I automatically waved back, uncomfortable, and quickly closed the curtain. New neighbor, no big deal. The building across the street was full of tenants coming and going, but something about that smile had made me nervous. Maybe it was the way he twisted his mouth to one side, or maybe it was simply that he had caught me looking right when I was in my kitchen, in my pajamas, dealing with my coffee disaster. I forgot about it by the afternoon. I had a deadline to meet and spent the day buried in manuscripts, correcting grammar mistakes and style inconsistencies. By the time I looked up, the sun was setting and my back ached from sitting so long. I went down to get my mail around 6. The mailbox was in the lobby, a row of small metal boxes with flimsy locks. As I was going through the contents, bills, junk mail, a magazine, I heard the front door open behind me. "Need help with that?" I turned around. It was him, the new neighbor. Up close, I could see more details. Slightly long, dark hair, hazel eyes, average build. He was wearing jeans and a blue flannel shirt. He looked normal, completely ordinary, except for that smile. That damn crooked smile that didn't reach his eyes. "No, I'm fine," I said, closing my mailbox. "Thanks." "I'm Caspian," he said, extending his hand. "Caspian Vreeland." I moved into the building across the street, 3C. I hesitated, then shook his hand briefly. "Calliope, I live in 3 in the East Building." "I know," he said. And then, seeing my expression, he quickly added, "I saw you at the window this morning. The burnt coffee, right?" I laughed nervously. "Yeah, not my finest moment." "We all have those days." His smile widened. "Hey, if you ever need anything, sugar, salt, a plunger, I'm right across the way. You can literally signal me through the window." "Thanks. I'll keep that in mind." I hurried up the stairs, feeling his eyes on my back. When I got to my apartment, I couldn't help but look out my living room window. The curtains in his apartment were open, and there he was, standing at his window, looking straight at mine. When he saw me looking, he raised his hand again. That wave, that smile. I closed my curtains immediately. The next few days were normal. Well, mostly normal. Every morning when I opened my curtains, I would sometimes see him at his window. Sometimes he would wave. Sometimes he would just be there, watching. I started keeping my curtains closed more often. On Thursday afternoon, I went down to buy groceries. The supermarket was 3 blocks away, and I came back with 4 heavy bags hanging from my arms. As I struggled with the bags and my keys at the door of the building, someone approached. "Let me help you." It was Caspian. He appeared out of nowhere, taking 2 of my bags before I could protest. "Oh, that's not necessary." I insist. "Which floor?" "3rd, but I can really..." "I've got them. Let's go." I had no choice but to follow him up the stairs. He carried my bags as if they weighed nothing, chatting casually about the weather, the neighborhood. When we reached my door, he waited while I searched for my keys. "You can leave them here," I said, pointing to the floor in the hallway. "Nonsense. Let me take them inside. Those bags look heavy." "No, it's fine, really." But he had already taken a step forward when I opened the door, forcing me to step back or let him bump into me. He walked into my apartment, carrying the bags to the kitchen as if he knew exactly where it was. "Here on the counter is fine, right?" he asked, setting them down. "Yes, thank you." I kept my voice firm, my arms crossed, a clear signal that it was time for him to leave. But he stood there, looking around my kitchen, my living room. His eyes moved over everything, my bookshelves, my desk with the laptop, the photos on the wall. "Nice place," he said. "Very cozy. I like your taste. That painting there?" He pointed to an abstract print above my sofa. "That's Rothko, right?" "Yes." How did he know about art? Most people didn't recognize Rothko. I thought so. I have a good eye for these things. His smile widened. "Well, I'll let you unpack. See you around, Calliope." After he left, I locked the door and put the chain on. My heart was racing. I hadn't done anything wrong, technically. I'd just been friendly. But something felt off. The way he'd walked in so easily. The way he'd studied my apartment. The way he'd said my name. That night, I worked late on a particularly dense manuscript. My boss, a man named Merrick Hastings, had yelled at me earlier on the phone about a deadline I had supposedly missed, even though I had emails proving I had delivered on time. It was typical of Merrick to blame others for his own mistakes. The call had left me frustrated and angry, and after hanging up, I admit I cried a little, just out of sheer frustration. The next day, Friday, I found something in my mailbox that made my blood run cold. Among the bills and junk mail was a white envelope, no stamp, no return address. Just my name handwritten on the front, Calliope. I opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a note, written in the same careful handwriting. I saw you crying last night over that fight with your boss. Do you want me to say something to him? I can be very persuasive when I want to be. No one should make you cry like that. I read the note 3 times, my breathing quickening with each reading. How did he know about the call with Merrick? How did he know I had cried? I looked up at the windows of my apartment. I couldn't see them from here, but I knew exactly where they were, and I knew which window led to which room. My living room. My living room where I have my desk, where I had taken that call, where I had cried afterward. The curtains had been open, and Caspian, in his apartment at 3C, directly across the way, would have had a perfect view. I ran up the stairs, the crumpled note in my fist. I entered my apartment and went straight to the living room window. Caspian's curtains were closed. I couldn't see inside. I took out my phone and looked up the non-emergency police number, but then I stopped. What would I tell them? That my neighbor had seen me crying and left me a note. That I felt uncomfortable. It wasn't illegal to look out your own window. It wasn't illegal to leave notes, but it was creepy. It was very, very creepy. I closed all my curtains, every single one, and I kept them closed. Over the weekend, I didn't go out except for essentials. I felt trapped in my own apartment, but going out meant potentially seeing Caspian, and I wasn't ready for that confrontation. I didn't know what to say. Every time I walked past a window, even with the curtains closed, I felt eyes on me. On Monday, I found another note. This time, it was slipped under my door. You should wear the blue lingerie set more often. It suits you better than the black one. The blue brings out your eyes. My stomach churned. My lingerie. How the hell did he know what lingerie I wore? I frantically searched my apartment. Were there cameras? Had he broken in while I was out? I checked every corner, every shelf, behind every picture frame. Nothing. I found nothing. And then it hit me. My bedroom. Some mornings when it was warm, I would leave my bedroom window open to let in some air. And some mornings I would change in my bedroom without thinking to close the curtains first. He had been watching me change. This time I did call the police. 2 officers came. An older man named Detective Yarrow Hutchins and a younger woman, Officer Brinley Chase. I showed them the notes. I explained about Caspian, about how he had watched me through the window. Has he made any direct threats? Hutchins asked. No, but this is harassment. He's watching me. He knows things he shouldn't know. Technically, Miss Mendez, looking through your own window is not illegal, and these notes, while inappropriate, do not contain threats. Inappropriate? He knows what underwear I wear. We understand your concern, Chase said more kindly. What we can do is go talk to him. Let him know that his behavior is unacceptable. Sometimes that's enough to make people stop. They went to talk to Caspian. I waited in my apartment, pacing back and forth, biting my nails. They came back half an hour later. We spoke with Mr. Vreeland, Hutchins said. He denies writing the notes. He says he barely knows you. He's lying, probably, but without evidence. No fingerprints, no witnesses. There's not much we can do. We recommend that you keep your curtains closed, document any further interactions, and call us if he does anything more direct. After they left, I sat on my couch in the dark, with all the curtains closed, feeling completely helpless. That night, around midnight, I couldn't sleep. While I put on some music on Spotify, a smooth jazz playlist that usually helped me relax. I was lying in bed with headphones on, trying to let the music calm my nerves. The note arrived the next morning. Blue and Green by Miles Davis is beautiful, isn't it? You played it 3 times last night. You must love it. I love it too. We have a lot in common. This was impossible. This was impossible. I had been wearing headphones. The windows were closed. The curtains were drawn. How did he know what music I had been listening to? Unless they had access to my Spotify account. Unless they had hacked my phone somehow. I changed all my passwords. Email, social media, streaming services, everything. I put two-factor authentication on everything. I even considered buying a new phone. But the notes continued. That yellow dress you ordered from Amazon is going to look beautiful on you. I hope you wear it soon. Your mother called today. She sounded worried. You should call her more often. The manuscript you're working on about World War II sounds fascinating. Can you believe some publishers don't see its value? Each note proved that he knew something new, something private, my online purchases, my phone calls, my work files. How? I hired a tech expert, a young man named Zephyr Kim who specialized in cybersecurity. I paid him $300 to check all my devices. Your phone is clean, he said, after 2 hours. Your laptop is clean. I don't see any malware or spyware. Whoever is doing this, it's not through direct hacking. Then how are they getting this information? Zephyr shrugged. Maybe they have physical access to your devices when you're not around. Maybe they stole your passwords before you changed them. Or maybe... He paused. Maybe what? Maybe they're guessing. Social engineering is real. If they watch you long enough, they can infer a lot. What you buy, what you do for work, what music you like. He could be making educated guesses that happen to be correct. But that didn't explain everything. It didn't explain how he knew about specific phone calls, about specific work files. That night, after Zephyr left, I searched every inch of my apartment again, this time more methodically. I moved furniture. I checked electrical outlets. I looked for hidden cameras, microphones, anything. And in the ceiling fan in my living room, hidden in the base where it connects to the ceiling, I found something. A small black device no bigger than a coin, with a tiny lens. A camera. There was a damn camera in my living room, watching me, recording me, for who knows how long. I called the police again. This time they took photos. They confiscated the camera as evidence. They told me they would send a forensic technician to look for fingerprints, to trace where it had been purchased. This is definitely a crime, Hutchins said, his tone much more serious now. Illegal installation of surveillance equipment. We're going to arrest Mr. Vreeland. But when they went to his apartment, he wasn't there. And according to the owner of the building across the street, Caspian Vreeland had paid 3 months' rent in advance in cash. There was no background check. There were no references. Just cash and a driver's license that, when the police checked it, turned out to be fake. The name is fake, Chase told me. The address on the license doesn't exist. Whoever is posing as Caspian Vreeland is using a fabricated identity. So what do? We're looking for him, but until we find him, you need to take precautions. Consider staying with friends or family. Change your locks. Stay alert. I hired a locksmith that same afternoon. New high-security locks on my door. An additional deadbolt, a reinforced chain. It cost me $500 I didn't really have, but I felt a little safer. That night, it was raining. A thunderstorm had rolled in, bringing heavy rain and thunder that rattled the windows. I was sitting on my couch trying to work, but mostly staring at my phone, checking the news, anything to distract myself. Around 11, I heard something, a soft sound, like scratches, against my door. I froze, listening. There it was again. Scratches, as if someone were running their fingernails across the wood. I got up slowly, walking toward the door. My heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my throat. I looked through the peephole. The hallway was empty, but the scratches continued, and then I heard something else, breathing, heavy, right on the other side of the door. "I know you're in there, Calliope," a voice said, Caspian's voice. "I just want to talk. I just want you to see me, really see me." "Go away," I shouted. "I've called the police. They're on their way." You haven't. I can see your phone from here. It's on the couch. You haven't called anyone. How could he? And then I understood. The windows. Even with the curtains closed, if the light was on, the shadows could be seen from outside. He could see my shadow moving. He could see where I was standing. I ran to turn off the lights. The room was plunged into darkness, except for the occasional flash of lightning. That's very clever, his voice said, muffled but clear. But I'm still here, and I'm not leaving until we talk. I grabbed my phone with trembling hands and dialed 911. The operator answered. 911. What is your emergency? There's someone outside my door. The man who's been stalking me. He's here right now. What is your address? I gave it to them, along with my apartment number. They told me that units were on their way, to stay away from the door, not to open it for any reason. The scratching stopped. The breathing stopped. Silence. I waited in the dark. The phone pressed against my chest, listening to the sirens in the distance getting closer. When the police arrived 5 minutes later, the hallway was empty. But they found something that had been left leaning against my door. A photo. Of me, sleeping in my bed. The photo had been taken through my bedroom window, from the fire escape that ran along the side of the building. He had climbed the fire escape, which was technically public access in emergencies, and photographed me while I slept. The photo had a date and time stamped in the corner, 3 nights ago. This is trespassing, Hutchins said gravely. This is breaking and entering. This is criminal harassment. We need to get you out of here tonight. Where am I going to go? Family, friends, anywhere he can't find you. But that was the thing. I had no family nearby. My parents had died in a car accident 5 years ago. I had no siblings. And my friends, I had some, but none close enough to impose on like this. There are shelters, Chase suggested. Safe places for victims of stalking. The idea of going to a shelter, of admitting that I had been driven from my own home, filled me with burning rage. Why did I have to be the one to run away? Why couldn't they catch him? We'll stay tonight, Hutchins said. 1 patrol in the lobby, 1 outside. He won't come near tonight. And tomorrow, we'll find a better solution. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on my couch with all the lights on, staring at the door, jumping at every sound. The officers in the lobby checked every hour. Everything was quiet, but I knew it wouldn't end. I knew this was only a pause. In the morning, Hutchins returned with news. We searched the apartment across the hall more thoroughly. We found something you need to see. They took me to 3C. The door had been forced open by the police. Inside, the apartment was almost empty. Just the essentials. A mattress on the floor, a few folding chairs, a table. But one wall, the wall facing my building, was covered. Completely covered with photos. Of me. Hundreds of photos. Taken over weeks, maybe months. Photos of me walking down the street, entering the building, in my apartment through the windows, sleeping, getting dressed, working, eating. Every moment of my life documented and displayed on this wall of madness. And in the center, written in large letters with red marker, "Soon we will move in together. Soon we will be one." I covered my mouth with my hand, feeling nausea rising in my throat. "How long?" I asked, my voice trembling. "How long have you been doing this?" "Based on the dates on some of these photos," Hutchins said, pointing to one, in particular of me entering my building wearing a winter coat I hadn't worn in months, at least since March. 6 months. 6 months. He had been watching me for 6 months, before he moved into the apartment across the way. Before I even knew he existed. "Who is he?" I asked. "Who the hell is he, really?" "We don't know yet, but we're working on it. In the meantime, you're going to need protection. We're going to put surveillance on your building. And seriously, Calliope, you need to consider moving somewhere else." But I was stubborn. It was my apartment. My home. I wasn't going to let this psychopath drive me out. I hired a private security company to install cameras inside and outside my apartment. I bought pepper spray and a tactical baton, which I kept by my bed. I put security bars on all my windows. Over the next few days, nothing happened. The police surveillance continued. The cameras showed nothing unusual. I began to wonder if maybe he had gone away. Maybe he had been scared off by the increased police presence. And then 4 days later, something happened that made my blood run cold. It was early in the morning. I had just woken up and went to the bathroom to wash my face. I leaned over the sink, splashing cold water on my face, then reached for a towel with my eyes closed. When I opened my eyes and looked in the mirror, I almost screamed. There was something in the reflection. A shadow. A silhouette standing behind me in the bathroom doorway. I turned so fast that I banged my elbow against the sink. Pain shot through my arm. But the bathroom doorway was empty. There was no one there. I looked in the mirror again. The silhouette was still there, in the reflection, as if it were standing exactly where I couldn't see it when I looked directly at it. My breathing became shallow, rapid. This wasn't possible. Reflections don't work that way. If something is in the reflection, it has to be in the actual room. I ran out of the bathroom. I searched every room, under the bed, in the closets, behind the curtains. Nothing, no one. But when I went back to the bathroom, there it was again. That shadow in the mirror. This time I could see more details. A male form, tall, watching. I grabbed my phone and took a picture of the mirror. When I looked at the photo, the shadow was there, captured. Proof that I wasn't imagining things. I called Hutchins immediately. There's something in my bathroom, in the mirror, something that shouldn't be there. What do you mean in the mirror? There's a silhouette, in the reflection, but not in the actual room. I took a photo. You can see it. Hutchins arrived 20 minutes later with Chase and a forensic technician. I showed them the mirror. The shadow was still there. The forensic technician, a woman named Ondine Fletcher, studied the mirror carefully. Then she did something strange. She knocked on the wall behind the mirror. The sound it made was hollow. "This is a two-way mirror," Ondine said slowly. "What does that mean?" "It means it's not a solid mirror. It's special glass. From your side, it looks like a normal mirror. But from the other side," she pointed to the wall, "it's transparent, like a window. Someone can see through it from the other side." The world tilted beneath my feet. "But that would mean there's space behind this wall." "Exactly." They broke through the wall. They literally took tools and cut a hole in the drywall, and behind it they found a space. A narrow space, barely wide enough for a person to stand, that ran between my apartment and the apartment next door. A space that wasn't on the building's blueprints, and in that space they found things. A thin mattress, empty water bottles, food wrappers, a flashlight, and more photos. Hundreds more photos of me stuck to the walls of this hidden space. "He's been living here," Hutchins said, his voice full of disgust. "In the walls, watching you through the two-way mirror." I felt sick. Every time I had used the bathroom, every shower, every moment I thought I was alone. He had been there, feet away, watching through the glass. "How?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "How did he get there?" "There must be access from another apartment, or from the basement. We're going to check the entire building." They found the access in the second-floor apartment directly below mine. The tenant, an elderly man named Quillen Parrish, had been out of town visiting his daughter for the past 2 weeks. His bathroom window had been pried open from the outside. That was the entry point. Caspian, or whoever the hell he really was, had been using Quillen's apartment as an access point, climbing into the space between the walls and watching me from there. "We need to evacuate you now," Hutchins said firmly. "This guy is dangerous. This is beyond harassment. This is obsession on a level that—" He paused, shaking his head. "You need to leave. Now." This time I didn't argue. I packed a suitcase. Important documents, clothes, toiletries. Hutchins and Chase escorted me out of the building to an unmarked car that would take me to a safe house. As we descended the stairs, my phone vibrated. A text message from an unknown number. "Leaving so soon, but we're just getting to the best part." I stopped dead in my tracks. How did he know I was leaving? How does he know? And then I saw him, at the end of the hallway, standing by the front door. Caspian, blocking the exit. In his hand, something glinted. Metal. A knife. "Back up," Hutchins shouted, pushing me behind him as he drew his gun. "Drop the weapon, hands where I can see them." But Caspian didn't move. He just smiled. That damn crooked smile. "I thought we could move in together, Calliope," he said, his voice calm. Too calm. "I found the perfect place. Secluded. Private. Just you and me. No one to bother us. No one to pull us apart." "I'm going to shoot you," Hutchins warned. "Last chance. Drop the knife." "You can't shoot me," Caspian said. "She's right behind you. What if you miss? What if you hurt her?" He began to walk forward, slowly, the knife dangling loosely in his hand. Chase had called for backup. I could hear sirens in the distance, but they wouldn't get there in time. "Calliope," Caspian said, his eyes fixed on me, even as Hutchins pointed his gun directly at his chest. "Just come with me. Just say yes. And all this ends. No one gets hurt. We can start our life together." "You're sick," I managed to say, my voice shaking. "I don't know you. I don't want to know you. What you think is love is... What do you know about love?" His voice suddenly rose, losing that unnerving calm. "I've invested months in you. Years planning this. The apartment across the street, I rented it specifically to be close to you. I researched you for a year before that. I learned everything about you. Your likes, your dislikes. Your routine. I know you better than anyone has ever known you." "That's not love," I said. "That's obsession." "It's the same thing." He took another step. "And you'll understand. When we're together. When you see how much I've done for you." Hutchins fired. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. Caspian fell, the knife clattering to the floor. Blood spread beneath him, dark against the gray tiles. Officers flooded the building seconds later. Paramedics, more detectives. Everything was a blur of uniforms and shouting voices and flashing lights. Caspian was taken to a hospital under police guard. The gunshot wound hadn't been fatal. Hutchins had aimed for his shoulder, not his chest. He would live. He would live to face charges, to go to trial, to potentially spend decades in prison. But as the paramedics wheeled him away on a stretcher before the ambulance doors closed, he turned his head and looked at me. And across the distance, across the crowd of officers, I saw his lips move. "Soon," he said quietly. Or maybe I imagined it. Maybe it was just my broken mind projecting my fears, but it sounded like he said it. Soon. I stayed at the safe house for a week. Then I went to a friend's house in Boston, then to a hotel. I keep moving. I haven't been back to that apartment. I can't. Caspian is in pretrial detention awaiting trial. His real name is Alaric Thorne. He's 35 years old. He has 2 previous convictions for stalking, both dismissed with plea bargains. This time, with all the evidence, the photos, the hidden space, the knife attack, there will be no deal. He's looking at 20 years minimum. But I know something the police don't. Something I didn't tell anyone because it sounded paranoid, crazy. Before the paramedics closed the ambulance doors, before they took him away, I saw something else. In his other hand, the one not holding the knife, he had a piece of paper. A piece of paper he deliberately dropped as he passed by me. I picked it up later, when no one was looking. I opened it with trembling hands. It was an address in Vermont, rural, isolated, and written underneath, "Our new home, already paid for. It's waiting for you." I burned the paper. I didn't show it to anyone, because if I showed it to them, it meant it was real, that he had really bought a place, that he had planned everything down to that detail. And it means that when he gets out, if he gets out, he'll know exactly where he wants to take me. For now, I keep moving. I keep looking over my shoulder. I keep checking mirrors, looking for shadows that shouldn't be there, because I learned something terrifying in those months. Locks only keep out the people you want to keep out. But when someone is obsessed, when someone has made stalking you their life's purpose, no lock in the world is enough. And somewhere, Alaric Thorne is sitting in a cell, counting the days until he can come looking for me again, until he can take me to our new home. And the scariest thing is that a small part of me, the part that barely sleeps, the part that jumps at every noise, knows that eventually he will try. Because to him, this was never stalking. It was never a crime. To him, this was always love. And people who believe stalking is love never stop. Not when they get arrested. Not when they get locked up. They just wait for their next chance. My name is Vesper Galloway, and what I'm about to tell you happened over 6 weeks last summer in my apartment in Austin, Texas. I still can't look at my phone without feeling that knot in my stomach. That feeling that someone is watching through the screen, observing every movement of my fingers, every expression on my face. My friends tell me I should have known, that I should have suspected. But how do you suspect someone who sleeps 3 feet away from you every night? How do you suspect the person who made coffee in the mornings and left cute notes on the refrigerator? It all started with a vibration at 3 in the morning. I was fast asleep when the buzz of my phone woke me up. The kind of vibration that means text message, not alarm. I rolled over, annoyed, trying to ignore it and go back to sleep. But then it vibrated again. And again. With my eyes half closed, I reached out and grabbed my phone from my nightstand. The light from the screen momentarily blinded me. 3 text messages from a number I didn't recognize. A local Austin number, but no name associated with it. I opened the messages, expecting spam or someone who had dialed the wrong number. The first message was a photo. It took a second to load. When it appeared on the screen, it took my brain a moment to process what I was seeing. It was a photo of a plate of food, pasta with shrimp in a cream sauce, with a glass of red wine next to it. Exactly what I had had for dinner the night before at Trattoria Vera, my favorite Italian restaurant. But it wasn't a photo I had taken. It was taken from across the table, as if someone had been sitting across from me during dinner. The second message said, "It looked delicious, almost as delicious as you." The third message, "You should smile more when you eat. You look too serious." My heart started beating faster. I looked at the time the messages had been sent. 3:03 a.m. Who sends messages at 3 in the morning? I looked at the photo again, zooming in with my fingers. It was definitely my dinner. I could see the edge of my hand in the corner of the photo holding my fork. But I had dined alone last night. I was sure of it. I'd gone straight from work, sat down at a small table by the window, and eaten while checking emails on my phone. Had someone been watching me? Had someone in the restaurant taken that photo without me noticing? I replied, "Who is this?" The response came immediately, as if they had been waiting for me to reply. "Someone who knows you better than you think." I blocked the number immediately and put my phone face down on the nightstand. It was probably just some jerk, someone from the restaurant being weird. Or maybe someone had hacked my Instagram. I had posted a story at Trattoria Vera last night, though not of my food specifically. I tried to go back to sleep, but couldn't. I lay in the dark, listening to my roommate Ondine's soft breathing in the other bed. We shared a 2-bedroom apartment, but she'd been staying in my room for the past few weeks because her air conditioner was broken. I didn't mind. We were close friends and had been roommates for almost a year. I finally fell asleep around 5, only to wake up 2 hours later to my alarm. During the day, I almost forgot about it. I was busy at work. I worked as a data analyst for a tech startup. And by the evening, the strange text message incident had faded to the back of my mind. But that night, around 10, as I lay in bed scrolling through TikTok, my phone vibrated with another message. Same unknown number. Somehow, it had gotten past the block. Or it was a different number that displayed the same one. This time, it was just text. "Your mother called today at 2:47 p.m. You sent her straight to voicemail. Why are you ignoring your mom?" My blood ran cold. My mother had called today, at exactly that time. And yes, I had sent her to voicemail because I was in an important meeting. How the hell did this number know that? Another message arrived. "I saw you grimace when you saw her name. Why are you so cold to her? She just wants to talk to her daughter." I sat up straight in bed, my heart racing. Did she see me? How could she have seen me? I was in my office, on the 3rd floor of a building downtown. "Ondine," I said, my voice coming out higher than normal. "Look at this." Ondine was in bed, laptop on her lap, watching Netflix with headphones on. She took them off. "What's up?" I showed her the messages. She frowned. "That's super creepy. Did you post anything about your mom on social media?" "No, I never post about my family." "Maybe someone from work, someone who was nearby when you rejected the call." "Maybe, but how would they have my personal number? And why would they do this?" Ondine shrugged. "People are weird. It's probably just someone trying to scare you. I'd report it." I reported the number to my phone company. I blocked the number again, and I tried to forget about it, but the messages didn't stop. Over the next few days, they came regularly, sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes during the day, always from different numbers that somehow got past my blocks. "That red dress looks amazing on you. You should wear it more often." "Why did you lie to your boss about finishing that report? I saw it on your screen. You haven't even started." "You laughed in that Zoom meeting when your colleague stumbled over his words. That was bad, but I liked your smile." Each message showed knowledge of my life that no one should have. Specific things, private moments, conversations I'd had only with Ondine or myself. "How do they know these things?" I asked Ondine one night, showing her the latest batch of messages. She read them, her expression growing more concerned. "Vesper, this is serious harassment. You need to go to the police." "And tell them what?" "That someone is texting me. Someone who is clearly watching you. This goes beyond annoying messages." She was right. I went to the police the next day. They sat me down in a small interview room with a detective named Theron Wickham, a man in his 40s with a tired expression. I showed him all the messages. He read them, taking notes. "Do you have any idea who might be doing this?" he asked. "No. That's why I'm here." "Ex-boyfriend. Coworker you've had problems with?" "I don't have a recent ex-boyfriend, and I get along with everyone at work." "What about your social media? Do you post a lot about your daily life?" "A little. Instagram, TikTok, but nothing as specific as this." Wickham frowned. "These messages suggest that someone has access to very private information. I'm going to recommend that you check all your devices, phone, computer, everything. You could have spyware installed." "Spyware? How would that get there?" "There are many ways. Malicious downloads, phishing, or someone with physical access to your phone installing it directly." I hired a cybersecurity technician that same day, a young man named Quillen Reeves who specialized in digital privacy. I paid him $200 to check my phone. "I don't see anything obvious," he said after an hour of analysis. "No suspicious apps, no strange permissions. Your phone looks clean." "Then how are they getting this information?" "They could be doing it in other ways." "Do you use cloud services a lot?" "Google, iCloud?" "Yes, everything is synced. If someone has access to your cloud credentials, they can see everything. Photos, location, emails, messages, everything. But I use two-factor authentication on everything." "And your 2FA code goes to your phone?" "Yes. If someone has access to your phone, even remotely, they can intercept those codes." I changed all my passwords that night. Email, social media, bank accounts, everything. I used completely new passwords that I stored in a new password manager. I felt a little better. But then 3 nights later, something happened that changed everything. I was lying in bed, almost asleep, when my phone turned on by itself. It didn't vibrate with a message. No alarm went off. Just the screen lit up, showing my home screen, and then the front camera activated. The little green dot next to the camera lit up, indicating that the camera was in use. I sat up straight, grabbing the phone. What app had activated the camera? I checked the open apps. Nothing. I force-closed everything, but the green light was still on. And then I saw something that made my heart stop. In the dark reflection of the screen, I could see my own face. But behind me, in the darkness of my room, there was something else. 2 points of light. Red. Like glowing eyes. I turned so fast I almost dropped the phone. The room was dark, except for the light from my nightstand. Ondane was in her bed, sleeping peacefully, her back to me. There was no one else. I looked at the phone again. The red eyes were still there in the reflection of the screen, but when I looked directly at where they should be, there was nothing. And then I understood. They weren't real eyes. It was an effect of the front camera. When the camera was active in the dark, it sometimes captured strange reflections, light bouncing off in weird ways. That was all. But that didn't explain why the camera had activated on its own. I restarted the phone. The green light went out. I stayed awake the rest of the night, watching the phone, waiting for it to happen again. It didn't. But the next morning, I received a message. You look beautiful when you sleep. Well, when you finally fall asleep, you looked scared last night. Was it because of me? And attached was a photo, a screenshot of me lying in my bed, taken from the angle of my phone's front camera, my face visible, my eyes wide and scared. Oh my God, I whispered. Someone had hacked my camera. Someone could activate it remotely. Someone had been watching me. For how long? I showed the message to Ondine. Her face paled. Vesper, this is a serious crime. You have to go to the police again. I already went to the police. They didn't do anything. But now you have proof that someone hacked your camera. That's different. I went back to see Detective Wickham. I showed him the new photo. His expression became more serious. This is criminal invasion of privacy, he said. We're going to need your phone as evidence. Our tech department can trace where the hack came from. How long will they take with my phone? Possibly a week, maybe longer. I can't be without a phone for a week. I need it for work. Wickham sighed. Then get a new phone, a completely new device. And in the meantime, don't install anything that isn't absolutely necessary. Don't use any of your old accounts on the new phone until we figure out how they were compromised. I bought a new iPhone that day, a completely fresh one. I only installed the most basic apps. I didn't log into any of my social media accounts. I only used my work email and basic text messaging. For 3 days, everything was quiet. No more strange messages. No more photos. I started to think that maybe changing my phone had worked. Maybe whoever was stalking me had lost access. Then I went on a date. His name was Denzel. I had met him on a dating app 2 weeks earlier. We had been chatting and finally agreed to meet for dinner. He chose a cute Mexican restaurant on the east side. The date was going well. Denzel was funny, smart, attractive. We were halfway through our meal, laughing about something, when my phone, my new phone, vibrated in my bag. I ignored it. I was on a date. Whoever it was could wait. It vibrated again, and again, and again. Sorry, I said to Denzel, pulling out my phone. Let me see if it's an emergency. I opened my messages. Unknown number. But somehow, impossibly, he had found me on my new phone. Who is this jerk? You can do better than him. I glanced around the restaurant quickly. Were they here, watching us right now? Another message. His joke about his cat wasn't that funny. Don't fake laugh. My stomach twisted. Denzel had just made a joke about his cat literally 30 seconds ago. How did they know that? Everything okay? Denzel asked, noticing my expression. Yeah, just my roommate, I lied. I tried to focus on the conversation, but my mind was racing. How had they found me on my new phone? How did they know my new number? I had only given it to Ondine, my family, and a couple of coworkers. And then my phone did something it had never done before. The volume automatically went up to maximum, and it started playing audio. It was a recording of breathing. My breathing. Heavy, irregular. The sound of someone trying not to panic. From the night I saw the camera activate, when I had seen those red eyes in the reflection, the sound filled the restaurant. Other diners turned to look. "What's that?" Denzel asked, confused. I grabbed the phone, frantically trying to turn it off, turn down the volume, make it stop. But the buttons weren't responding. The phone played the recording on a loop, my own terrified breathing echoing through the space. Finally, I turned it off completely, holding down the power button until the screen went black. "I'm sorry," I said to Denzel, my face burning with embarrassment. "My phone is... something's wrong with it." But Denzel was already signaling the waiter for the check. "You know what? I think I'm going to leave. This is a little weird for me." I didn't blame him. It seemed crazy. It looked like I had played that recording intentionally, like some kind of disturbing performance art. After he left, I sat at the table for a long time, staring at my turned-off phone. How had they done that? How had they taken remote control of my brand-new device? In the taxi home, I turned my phone back on. Immediately, a message arrived. "He wasn't good enough for you anyway. I'm better. I understand you." I blocked the number. But seconds later, another message arrived from a different number. "You can't block me. You can't run away from me." Another number. "Because I am you." The words hit me like a punch. I am you. What did that mean? When I got home, Ondine was on the couch watching TV. She looked up when I walked in. "Hey, how was your date?" "Terrible," I said, my voice shaking. "Ondine, it's getting worse. Whoever's doing this found my new phone. They took control of it. They played a recording of me in the middle of the restaurant. It had completely ruined my date." Ondine turned off the TV, her expression serious. "Vesper, this is really scary. You need to go to the police again. Maybe stay in a hotel or something. It's not safe. But if they can hack my phone, what difference does it make where I stay? At least you'd be somewhere they don't know." She had a point. That night, I packed a suitcase and checked into a Holiday Inn near the airport. I didn't tell anyone except Ondine where I was. I turned off my phone and tucked it into the bottom of my bag. I tried to sleep but couldn't. Every noise in the hallway made me jump. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those red eyes from my phone's reflection. Around 4 in the morning, I finally turned on my phone to check for work messages. I had 17 text messages, all on the same subject. "Did you think moving to the Holiday Inn on Airport Boulevard would make you safe? Room 237, nice place, a little impersonal for my taste. I can see you from here. The curtain isn't completely closed." I jumped out of bed and ran to the window. The curtains were mostly closed, but there was a small gap. I closed it completely with trembling hands. Then I looked down at the parking lot 3 stories below. There were dozens of cars. Were they in one of them, watching me now? I called the hotel front desk. "Someone is stalking me. They're in the parking lot. Please call the police." The hotel sent security. They checked the parking lot. They didn't find anyone suspicious. The police arrived an hour later, took my statement. But what could they do? There was no one there. "How did they know where I was?" I asked Ondine on the phone, my voice breaking. "I didn't tell anyone except you." "Maybe they tracked your phone," she suggested, "your GPS." I turned off my phone before I came here. "I don't know, Vesper. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you should go home. At least you're not alone here." She was right. I checked out of the hotel and went home at 7 in the morning. Ondine greeted me with coffee and a hug. "You can't let this drive you crazy," she said. "Whoever is doing this wants to scare you. They want you to feel powerless. It's working." That night, I decided to change my phone number completely. I went to my provider store, explained the situation, and got a new SIM card with a completely new number. "No one has this number except the system," the employee assured me. "It's completely fresh. I gave the new number to only 3 people, my parents and Ondine. No one else, not even my work yet. For exactly 6 hours, I was calm. No messages, no hacks, just blessed silence. And then, at 8 o'clock that night, a message arrived. New number, clever, but useless. "How?" I screamed, throwing my phone onto the couch. "How do you have this number?" Ondine came running out of her room. "What happened?" I showed her the message. Her face turned pale. That's impossible. Only your parents and I have that number." "Then someone has access to your phone, or my parents, or—" I stopped. There was another option, one I didn't want to consider. "Or what?" Ondine asked. "Or someone at the phone company. Someone with access to the system." "Vesper, that's paranoid." "Is it paranoid if it's true?" The next message arrived. "You can't run away from me because I am you. Don't you understand yet? I am you." Those words again. What did they mean? Over the next few days, I became obsessive. I covered the cameras on all my devices with tape. I turned off my phone when I wasn't actively using it. I stopped using social media altogether. I stopped going out except to go to work, but the messages continued. Less frequent now, but more disturbing. "I miss seeing you. I miss your face. Soon, we will meet properly. I've waited so long for this." A week after changing my number, I came home from work around 6 in the evening. Ondine was working the night shift at the hospital, where she was a nurse, so I knew the apartment would be empty. I put the key in the lock and turned it. The door opened, and I knew immediately that something was wrong. That feeling you get when someone has been in your space, when something is out of place even though you can't pinpoint exactly what. I walked in slowly, my heart pounding. "Hello?" There was no answer. The living room looked normal. So did the kitchen. But when I walked into my bedroom, my breath caught in my throat. All my drawers were open. My clothes were everywhere. Books were pulled off the shelves. The mattress was half off the bed. Someone had been here. Someone had gone through everything. I ran to my computer. It was on even though I was sure I had turned it off this morning. The screen showed an open Word document, and in that document, line after line after line, were passwords. All my passwords. Every one I had ever changed. Every account. Email, bank, social media, everything. Printed on white paper, organized alphabetically. And at the top of the document, in big red letters, "Now I know where you really live." I staggered backward, bumping into the wall. My mind was racing. How had they gotten in? The locks were intact. There were no broken windows. Did they have a key? I called the police. I called Ondine. I called my landlord. Within an hour, my apartment was full of people. Police officers taking photos. A forensic technician looking for fingerprints. The landlord checking the locks. "There are no signs of forced entry," said the landlord, an older man named Vesper Nash. "Whoever got in had a key or knew how to open the lock without damaging it." "Who else has keys?" asked Detective Wickham. "Me, my roommate, the landlord, and maintenance," I said. "That's it." "Was your roommate home today?" "No, she was at work." Wickham frowned. "We're going to need to talk to her, just to rule it out. Ondine has nothing to do with this. She's my best friend." "Just being thorough." Ondine arrived an hour later. The police interviewed her in the hallway while I waited in my ransacked room. I could hear muffled voices, but not words. When Ondine finally entered the room, she looked upset. They asked me where I was all day, like I'm a suspect. "I'm sorry, they're just doing their job." "Your apartment is a mess." She looked around, shaking her head. "This is seriously fucked up, Vesper." "I know." I couldn't stay in the apartment that night. I stayed with my friend Sparrow, who lived across town. I didn't take my phone. I didn't take my laptop, just a bag of clothes and toiletries. But even without technology, I didn't feel safe, because whoever was doing this had been in my apartment. They had touched my things. They had breathed my air. They had been so close. I spent 3 days at Sparrow's house. Detective Wickham called me on the second day with updates. "We checked the fingerprints in your apartment," he said. "The only ones we found that don't belong to you are your roommates, your landlords, and a couple of unidentified ones that are probably from previous visitors. So, you don't know who broke in. Whoever did it wore gloves. Professional. Professional? Like a professional burglar. Or someone who knows how not to leave evidence. What about the passwords? How did they get them? That's the interesting part. We checked your laptop. There's software installed that shouldn't be there. A keylogger. It basically tracks every key you press, every password you type. Everything." My stomach sank. "How long has it been there?" "According to the logs, at least 3 months. 3 months. Someone had had complete access to everything I did digitally for 3 months. Every email, every message, every search, everything. How did it get there?" "Someone needed physical access to your laptop to install it." "Who has access to your computer?" "Just me. Well, Ondine sometimes borrows it when hers is charging, but we need to talk to your roommate again." "No, Ondine wouldn't do this. I know her." "Miss Galloway, someone with access to your apartment with access to your devices has been systematically stalking you for months. Your roommate has that access." "It's not her." But even as I said the words, a seed of doubt had been planted. Ondine had been in my room constantly for the last few weeks. She had had access to my laptop, to my phone when I left it charging. She knew my routine better than anyone. No, it was impossible. Ondine was my friend. We had lived together for a year. We cooked together. We watched movies together. We told each other everything, right? I returned to the apartment on the 4th day. Ondine was at work. The apartment had been cleaned. Wickham had told me I could return after the forensic team was done. I stood in my room, staring at the space. Everything had been put back in its place, but it felt contaminated. Violated. My phone vibrated. A text message from Ondine. "Are you back home? I'll be there in an hour. We can order Chinese food." I replied, "Sounds good." But then I had an idea. A terrible idea. An idea that made me feel guilty just for considering it. I went to Ondine's room. She always left her laptop on her desk. I opened it. No password. She always left it logged in. I checked her browser history. Normal. Netflix, Amazon, news sites. I checked her downloaded files. Nothing suspicious. I was about to close it when I noticed something. A folder on her desktop called Project V. I opened it. Inside were hundreds of files, photos, screenshots, documents, all of me. Photos I had taken with my phone, screenshots of my conversations, documents from my laptop. With trembling hands, I opened more files. There were logs, detailed logs of my daily routine, what time I woke up, what I ate, who I talked to. All meticulously documented, and there was something else. A file called plan.docx. I opened it. It was a 20-page document detailing her obsession with me, how she had been watching me for months before we became roommates, how she had responded to my roommate ad specifically because I was me, how she had installed spyware on my devices within the first week of moving in. "Vesper is perfect," the document said. "She is everything I want to be. Her life is so organized, so calm. Her job, her friends, her family. Everything she has, I can have too. I just need to learn how to be her." I kept reading, horror growing with each line. The document detailed her plan, how she was going to become me, take my identity, use all the information she had gathered, my passwords, my writing style, my relationships, to literally replace me. I already told her job that she would be quitting next week due to a family emergency, read a recent entry. I already contacted some of her clients pretending to be her, setting up new accounts in my name. I already started transferring money from her bank accounts in small amounts that she won't notice. When I'm done, she will have nothing, and I will have everything. Her life will be mine. I heard the front door open. Ondine was home. I quickly closed the laptop and left her room just as she entered the living room. "Hey," she said, smiling, her usual warm smile that I had seen 1,000 times. Now it seemed predatory. "What do you want for dinner?" "Actually, I'm not feeling well," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I think I'm going to bed early." Her smile faltered. "Are you sure? I could make your favorite soup." "I'm sure." I went to my room and closed the door. With trembling hands, I called Detective Wickham. "I need you to come," I whispered. "It's Ondine. It's her. I found everything." "Is she in the apartment now?" "Yes." "Get out right now. Don't confront her. Just get out." But before I could move, my door opened. Ondine was standing there. She wasn't smiling anymore. "You saw my laptop," she said. It wasn't a question. "Ondine, you shouldn't have done that, Vesper. I wasn't ready for you to know yet." "How long?" I asked, my voice breaking. "How long have you been planning this?" "Since I met you, 2 years ago. I saw you in that coffee shop working on your laptop, and I thought, she has everything. She is everything. And I am nothing. But I could be you. I could take your place and no one would know. That's crazy. You can't just steal someone's life." "Why not? I've been doing it for months. I've been learning to be you, the way you talk, write, think. I've been canceling your subscriptions and setting up new ones in my name, transferring your contacts. Your work doesn't even know that Vesper Galloway answering emails now is me, not you. The police are on their way." "I know. That's why I need to leave now." She took something out of her pocket. My phone. The old one I had given to the police as evidence. "This has everything I need. All your contacts, your photos, your messages, it's already synced to my device. I'm already you in every way that matters. You're not going to get away with this. I already have." He smiled. "By the time the police understand what happened, I'll be halfway across the country with your identity. And you'll be here, trying to convince people you're who you say you are. But who's going to believe you? All your accounts, your passwords, your information, I have them now. Your job thinks you quit. Your bank thinks you authorized the transfers. Your family. Well, I sent them some worrying emails last week about mental health issues, about you feeling unstable. I heard sirens outside. Ondine heard them too. Her expression hardened. Goodbye, Vesper. Or should I say, goodbye to me, because you no longer exist." She ran to her room. I heard her window open. It led to the fire escape. By the time the police came upstairs, she was gone. They found her laptop, all of Project V, all the evidence of what she had been doing. They issued an arrest warrant. They put out a bolo. But Ondine, or whoever she really was, because that probably wasn't even her real name, vanished completely, like a ghost, as if she had never existed, and I was left trying to rebuild my life, regaining access to my accounts, explaining to my job, my bank, my family, that no, I hadn't quit. I hadn't authorized those transfers. I wasn't having a breakdown. But the hardest part was the paranoia that remained, the constant feeling that someone is still watching me, because for 6 weeks someone was, someone who slept 3 feet away from me, someone who smiled at me every morning while planning to steal my entire life. 2 weeks ago, I received an email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line read, "I miss our house." Inside was a single photo of me, taken yesterday, in my new apartment. The apartment I moved into after all. The apartment that no one, except my immediate family, knows the address to. The photo was taken from inside the apartment, from the angle of my bedroom, and written on the photo, in white text over my own image, "I will always be you, and you will always be mine." I called the police. They're investigating, but I know they won't find her. Because she's good at this, very good. Good enough to hack into my life for months without me knowing until it was almost too late. Now I sleep with my phone in airplane mode, all the cameras in my apartment covered, all the locks changed. But I know it doesn't matter, because if she got in before, she can get in again, because she doesn't just want my life, She wants to be me, and that means she'll never stop. She'll never stop watching, learning, waiting for her moment to replace me completely. And every time I look in a mirror, every time I see my own reflection, I wonder, is that really me? Or has she already become me without me knowing?